Sacktown Sports 1140. It's the Carmichael Dave Show.
He's on the microphone when he's not on the microphone. He's playing a song, and when he's not playing a song, he's on the microphone, and then boom!
With Jason Ross.
Jay! Hey, my headset's
Text or call the show at 916-339-1140. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, June 29th, 2022. Jason Ross, Jay Mars, Carmichael Dave.
Very radio-y of you.
Carmichael Dave trying to find the appropriate music for an open for tomorrow's show.
That's why he's absent.
He just couldn't take it anymore. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Good morning, Jay.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Super. Thanks for asking.
Yes. I feel chipper this morning.
You do?
Yeah. You and I both.
Like Chipper Jones or?
Other Chippers? Chipper Jones? It's Chipper?
Chipper Bryant.
Yep. Chipper Bryant. The name game. Jay always wins. You and I both did what Carmichael Dave does not like. We backed into our parking spots today, and we're ready to go.
That's right.
We're in. We're able to leave with easy access.
And we'll be pulling out today.
Yes. Hey, now. I don't like uncomfortable moments in life. I had one again the other day that I need.
Oh.
I need help how to handle. This happens. Unfortunately, I would say a few too many times that I've never figured out. Like, if you have a life experience that's uncomfortable, you hopefully then learn from said uncomfortable experience. If I'm never put in that spot again, I will know how to handle it.
Right.
I've not learned how to handle this situation, Jim
Ooh,
Mars.
let me help you out.
Okay, so I would say you, me, Dave, whatever, we are. I'm going to do the air quotes. I'm going to do the celebrities. Say it softly, quietly. I'm not really. I don't think of it myself as I am.
You kind of are.
But I don't think, whatever. So sometimes when you play in some spots, you feel like you may be acknowledged that way. And maybe it's like, okay, whatever. It's awkward, but maybe the room or the audience feels that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. But when you're not in a spot like that, where maybe the room, the audience, or whoever you're with is like, wait, who? What? Who are you? It's like, oh. So I was playing in a local golf tournament the other day, Monday. It was great. Great tournament, awesome. But I was deemed one of the local celebrities.
Oh.
Okay. Now, what was different about this golf tournament, a lot of times, like, I might be paired with a foursome, and, like, I'm with that group. We meet at the beginning. Okay, maybe. But then I'm with them the whole time. And they all know, or I don't know if they know who you are, but at least we've established it. I've got the uncomfortableness out at the beginning. Maybe someone knows. Maybe they don't. But you're like, okay, I can explain my way through it. The way this tournament was done was there was a handful of celebrities, and then we were supposed to, which I'd never done this before, bounce to group, which so now
That's cool.
It is cool. We're mingling with more people. I don't know if the field knew that. So, like, I drive up on the first group, like, hey, are you playing through? I'm like, no.
Kind of a big deal. People know me.
So what's so that group, totally gracious and fun, and maybe one person kind of knew. And actually, I'd played golf with one guy before, and awesome. Once you get through the uncomfortableness, and like then a celebrity came up from behind me. It's like, hey. So I kind of got booted and went to a group, two groups ahead, and it was like, oh, are you what's going on? Hey, oh man. Well, here's the deal. I'm kind of a
big deal.
Yeah, no. The worst one though, same situation like this, was in a tournament probably, this might be 15 years ago. And we're 8 or 9 holes in. So I've already kind of established I'm with this group. I'm the only one in my own cart, and one of the marshals comes through and he's like, hey, is everything good? It's like, yeah, except for we didn't get a celebrity.
Oh.
And talk about feeling small.
Jason,
it's like,
I'm sorry.
I mean, this is a long time. I'm still scarred, obviously. And you're like, oh, wow, how do you... it's like, guys...
Did you finally, get rage?
Well, I said something like, guys, this is pretty embarrassing and humbling for me, but I'm sorry, but I think I know there's big name here, but you got me. And they're like, oh, I'm so, they felt terrible, but I didn't know what else to say. So how do you handle, have you been in a situation like this where it's...
I don't play in anything like that,
Well, but it's something where it's like, hey, it's radio's Jay Mars, and it's like, hey,
honestly, when anybody says that, it's the most cringeworthy thing in the world.
Right.
First and foremost.
Right.
But You're much more important and a much bigger public figure than I am.
Well,
let's call it what it is. Number one, I'm going to kind of put the blame on you here.
You're making me feel worse. I thought you were going to help me.
The problem is I'm going to help you move on from this.
Okay.
But this is a therapy session. This is honesty hour.
All right, I'm
here.
on the couch. You're talk me through this.
Here's the problem. You're not walking up to these groups and saying your name with your chest out.
I need swag.
I'm Jason Ross, Sacramento Kings broadcaster, morning show host, Sports 11, Sactown Sports 1140. Who are you?
Yeah. Why are you so lucky to be playing with me?
Say your name with your chest out. Let them know who you are.
I know how I'm going to do it.
You were on NBC back on the day when the Kings were good.
I'm going to show up and go, guys, I don't know if you know who I am, but you should. I'm Carmichael Dave.
Then they'll boo you, and they'll hate you, and they'll ask you to go somewhere else.
But if the worst situation.
But if you say you're Jason Ross, longtime Sacramento Kings broadcaster,
I'm kind of a big deal.
Sacramento State play-by-play man, former XFL legend,
morning show, just killing
phenom. And you say it like that, they're going to be like, oh, really? That's cool. I promise you.
I don't like this guy.
I know. I'm just telling you. I don't know if you need to, brush your teeth with some Jack Daniels before that to loosen up. But, hey, man, it's time to let people know who Jay Ross is.
Okay.
I feel like you're not going to do it.
Does it seem like me?
Nope.
Exactly. Well, in all of our lives that we've had, I'm sure you've had that, though, somewhere like, hey, I know you, or I've seen you somewhere, I've heard you. I mean, that's happened to you, right?
I've been stopped at a Walmart before.
For stealing or for the price rollbacks or what?
For celebrity pictures.
Okay, see that. And you're calling me more high profile.
That is not more high profile.
So what?
You've been stopped multiple times. I'm talking about one time in a Walmart in South Sac.
I need to know about this interaction.
Listen, it was two girls. Big fans of the show I was on many years ago.
The morning show.
Morning show I was on and wanted a picture. Highly rated.
Featured player. You are a big deal.
They wanted pictures.
Okay.
I obliged. I said thank you. Yeah. Then they put them on IG and they tagged me. I said thank you there as well.
You say I charge. It's going to be a heavy pay.
Right. And that's what, funded my, I was able to buy a house with that money. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fine.
But did they go, Jay Mars, we know who you are, or how was it? Or it's like, hey, I know you.
No, I have had my run-in again. Not so much working here, but in the previous morning show I was on, I had quite a few run-ins on the streets of people and it was always, they would always say the same thing. You're the one that says all the crazy things. That was always it.
Do you help people? Like, hey, I know you from somewhere.
No, if that's the case, I try to be like, no, you don't. But if someone comes up and clearly knows who I am, I can't do that.
Yeah. I'm pretty good with faces. I don't always have names, but like, hey, I know. And like, I don't know. I don't want to assume like, hey, they've seen me before on the, not on the radio.
No, never assume. But if someone knows you, it's kind of, you should oblige and be courteous.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Say hello.
I'm always courteous. I'm talking to them, but I'm trying to go, I don't know. I'm trying to help them. Like, where did we go to school? I can tell they're racking their brain.
You need to have a little more fun with that situation.
Yeah.
You need to be like.
That night in prison?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
memorable
one. Or if it's like a grown man, be like, hey, yeah, when you were a child, me and your mother,
yes,
you saw me walk out of the house one night. I know it was just as awkward for you as it was for me.
Should we do the DNA test now?
Yes.
But see, every time there's a moment like that, I have had the moment. There was a guy, this was also years ago, came to our house fixing like vents or heating and air, something like that. And, hey, what do you do? And I said, I work in radio. Oh, what? I say the station and blah, blah. Oh my gosh, 1140. I listen. So he's like every day. And at that time we had Grant and Mike in the afternoon. Listen to Grant and Mike every day, faithful listener. And then I'm like, okay, well, if you do, then, and then I say my name and then he's like, oh, are you new? I'm like, new.
For 30 years.
This time I've probably been here like 15. And I go, I'm on their show every day, every half hour. Maybe we even had updates every 20 minutes. I'm like, if you listen to them, you have heard me. And he was acting like, I'm like, wow, this is someone that was in my house. I'm like, okay, I got this guy. He knows who I am. And he's like, no. I'm like,
it shows that A, he knew who Grant and Mike were, but B, not a faithful listener.
Did not like my updates.
No. Yeah. Hated your updates probably, actually. Or just never tuned in at the top of the bottom of the hour.
That's true. Maybe it's like, this got time to tune out.
Yeah. My favorite one, though, is when someone tells you oh my God, I listened to the station and I love, and then they would mention somebody who worked for the competitor.
Yes.
That was my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Or you do a giveaway or something, right? Tell me what station hooked you up, because, you know, I've been around long enough where we did radio things.
Right.
And it was the competitor.
Yes.
Or people would come to our building and say they won tickets to such and such, and we'd be like, no, you didn't.
Yep.
Isn't this KSFM?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I've done. I mean, you're right. When we used to do more radio things, remotes, being at gas stations, giveaways, whatever, remotes. I remember there was one, honey, come over here. Look, we listen every day. It's KFBK. And like our banner is right in front of them. Let's take a picture with KFBK. Just read it.
Yeah.
Just read it.
It's right in front of you.
Do you really listen to us, or are you, it's like.
So my previous job, we had flipped the name of the station, and it didn't matter. I mean, we had flipped the name. It had been 8 years, and people would pull up to a tent or a van with a different name and logo clearly on it and still call it the old name. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Right. Well, look, we've just changed Sacktown Sports, so it's going to take time. But it doesn't happen nearly as much, Jay. But I would say within the last 5 years, I go, I listen to Hot Talk. I'm like, Hot Talk? Wow.
Hot Talk, wow, dude. That's like
closing in on 30 years.
I would say Hot Talk. I was a child.
25. Yeah. I'm like, man, thank you. You are a P1. You are a faithful listener. But
the thing is,
you haven't transitioned to at least Sports 1140 at that time?
No, they're a P1. The problem is they're a background P1, meaning they put the station on every day, but they've never listened to it in the last 30 years. But it's on.
I still listen to Jack Youngblood. You do? It's been a while.
Youngblood.
It's been a long while.
Been a long, long time. Fabulous Sports Babe.
Yes.
Shout out to her.
Wow. All right. The NBA season.
Good talk.
Yeah, great talk. Did you help me? I think you did.
I did. I just know you're not going to take the advice, but that's fine.
I'm going in with like chain, glasses, arm sleeves rolled up.
Dude, we need to get you.
Don't you know who I am, tat?
We got to get you a J. Ross medallion.
Just so heavy that it's
like the size of a Flavor Flav clock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just all decked out.
Now that's totally your personality.
That's me. That fits me. That fits me. Then they'll know who I am.
You're so loud.
The NBA season is officially over, but the craziness, the real season, the one we all love and covet, it is about to begin. We've got that and more in Leading Off.
Let's do it. It's time for Leading Off.
Brought to you by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge, where for over 60 years, their name means a great deal in Elk Grove Auto Mall and online at elkgrovedodge.com. Here's cut number 1.
Trey Lyles, transition 3. This game is tied for the third time. 55-55. Trey Lyles coming to life here for Sacramento. He has 13 points. 10 of the 13 have come in this second quarter.
I remember.
Why did you get excited?
It was G-Man. Yeah, basketball highlights. We're not that far away.
Christmas in June, baby.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Jay. That was a gift.
You're welcome.
That keeps on giving. Trey Lyles, hopefully, will keep on giving to the Sacramento Kings. I still, Monty will never say this. I remember when they made the trade. Obviously, everything they wanted was DiVincenzo.
Right.
And it's like, is Josh Jackson the throw-in? Nah, it's probably Trey Lyles. And Trey Lyles, remember the first couple games, never even sniffed the floor. Then he got a little bit of time. Then by the end, Jay, he was actually a dude.
Yeah, no, he was your starting power forward, putting up double-doubles and losses, but putting up double-doubles nonetheless.
Details. And he's back, and I think this makes sense. I mean, it was a team option, I say affordable, but 2.6, I think, somewhere in that range. Ideally, he's not starting. Ideally, no offense to him, ideally, maybe he's not playing a lot. I mean, I think if you got
define a lot? 30 plus?
Oh, that's way too much. If Trey Lyles is
No,
playing,
I'm saying, is that your definition of playing a lot?
No, because right now I'm defining him as a bench player.
Okay.
Not every bench player should play. I don't know that has to be in that group where he's relegated to 10th, 11th, 12th. But
no, I think.
But maybe if he is, you've got a
rotational player.
Yeah, I have no problem with him being it. I guess my point is, if he's not, that means you're probably a lot better. But I don't know that they're not that today. He should be in the rotation.
I don't really foresee something where he's not in the rotation next year, just because I don't see them making the type of multiple moves that would relegate him to that 11-12 spot. Listen, I like him as your backup 4.
Yeah.
If he give you 15 to 20, he's solid.
Yep.
He doesn't do anything spectacular, but he stretches the floor.
Yes.
He rebounds. He can finish at the basket, which he's gotten a lot better at over his career. If he's your backup 4 and he's playing, again, 15 minutes, 20 minutes max, I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
You know what's crazy with the benches these days? I mean, I bet Trey Lyles came into the league as maybe a 3/4, maybe 4. I think he could be a small ball 5.
Oh, he could be for
in
sure.
Certain line. I mean, he's not guarding Jokic, but you're not playing against Jokic.
It's clearly matchup dependent, but I agree. He could be a small ball 5.
I mean, the Warriors, when they do that, like, yeah, you can guard Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay,
for sure.
That's your matchup. But
yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense. Now, when you look at the powered forward depth on the team, though, this is interesting because conventional wisdom says Keegan Murray's your starting 4.
I would believe so.
You would still play Lyles over Chimezie, right?
I think so. That could be what's interesting is, the connection that Mike Brown and Chimezie have.
Right.
Whether there's
I've seen a lot to that.
Favoritism at all with, I don't know. But we'll see if I think that'll play itself out, but that's probably one of the camp battles as far as who leads there between those two.
And correct me, isn't Chimezie, did they guarantee him for next year already?
I don't know that.
Because I've been seeing a lot about the, Chimezie and Mike Brown. Monty McNair is not the type that would keep Chimezie on the roster just because of Mike Brown.
Yeah.
I think if they're looking at a situation where it's getting to the point where if like Chimezie's your 12 or 13 guy and there's another position of need that you need on the roster, I don't see them having an issue cutting him.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those Chimezie Metu truthers.
Yeah. He went through quite a cycle, too, where he was like a prominent role, then disappeared, then came back. Like, he was all over the place last year.
Well, that was kind of Alvin Gentry's coaching, though, too.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was very reminiscent of hey, Alvin, the team's 500 when Mo Harkless starts, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like there were games
that should have been the answer.
I feel like there's games where you wouldn't see Chimezie for like 4 straight games, and then it like popped in Alvin's head, like, oh yeah, Chimezie's still in the team. Let's get him some run.
Yes. Hey, he'll always be on the list of a guy that hit a game winner. Game winner,
true.
Quarter 3 against Dallas. Who will always have that.
Better that or Scals against the Knicks.
I mean, the list is Chimezie, Scal, James Johnson is kind of random walk-off game winners for the Kings.
I feel like there's more to that too, but that's
like Barnes makes sense.
Right.
Fox has hit some, but like those
Tyreek
guys,
Evans back in the day makes sense.
Cousins,
Mike
sure.
Bibby.
Yes. Weber, any star. I mean, these are bench players.
I'm trying to think. Was there any OG Kings like 80s, 90s that?
See, that you might need to help me with.
That I would have. That's a research project. Like
that might be our summer.
Did Randy Brown ever win a game for the Kings on a buzzer beater?
Top 10 rando Kings to win a game at the buzzer.
That you're right. That
we got the short list.
If we could somehow put together like a top 10 and actually have audio for all 10, that would be a fantastic day.
It really would be. Coming to a radio station near you.
Hey, do you remember when?
All right, cut 2.
Cut number 2.
Will Hardy, who was with Ime Udoka in Boston this year, previously came up in the Spurs organization under Greg Popovich, 34 years old, really blew the Jazz away in their process. He made strong impressions on the Knicks a couple of years ago in their interview process, Oklahoma City. It was just a matter of time before he got a job, and now he'll replace Quinn Snyder with the Utah Jazz.
That is Woj, and that is me, if you could not tell, smiling through the radio. And why? Nothing about Will Hardy being the Jazz next head coach. Good luck to him. Woj put in there that he's 34. As a guy that was once the young guy at the radio station, now is the old guy. I witnessed Jay Mars pre-show visibly upset
Yeah.
that the Utah Jazz have hired someone that is younger than you.
Yeah, because
That got you.
no, it did.
It's
and
a full circle moment for me.
in sports in general, obviously, we're trending,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
gonna happen
towards
all the
younger
time
head
now for you.
coaches. That's the point now where I've realized I hit.
Yeah.
And that hit
You've
this
passed the
morning.
player part. Like you've gotten used to that.
Oh God, yeah, no, that's
But now it's a coach.
yeah,
And
it's
GM's going to happen and all that.
yeah. The GM one's gonna really kill me, but yeah, it's the head coaching one because again, you see all the young head coaches in the NFL: Shanahan, McVay. I'm younger than all of them. Will Hardy's 34. I'm older than Will Hardy.
That hurts, doesn't it?
It didn't feel good. It was a real moment in
hate
my
Will
life.
Hardy.
I don't hate Will Hardy. I hate Will Hardy's age.
You hate the thought of Will Hardy.
There you go. Yeah, because I'm sure Will Hardy's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Could sit down, have chicken tenders with him, and have a good time. But yeah, the thought that a 34-year-old is about to be paid millions of dollars to go coach a basketball team, and here I am.
Getting paid
around
millions of
the same
dollars.
age. No, hundreds of thousands. But
Oh, you need a new deal.
well, maybe.
Wow.
Well, I didn't tell you this, but I have Freddie Freeman's agent too, and I just fired him.
Okay, well, things will change in the next deal.
But yeah, no, it's truly, it was an old man moment this
Yeah.
morning. Like, okay, I'm now at the age where head coaches are going to start being younger than me. Players, that's fine. Head coaches, that's where I draw the line because I still think of head coaches as old.
Yes, and here's the thing, though. You'll hear that number, and I don't know, at some point, maybe I will run across Will Hardy. Like, I'll know he's younger than me. I'll look at him and probably go, yeah, I could tell you're younger than me. But I'm with you. Like, I don't know. There's a position, I don't know whether I just, of status, of royalty to me. Like, a head coach is older than me. Even when I'm 70, I'll go, oh, yeah, that 30, he's just old.
Well,
like, it's a weird feeling.
But think about it, and again, it just kind of goes to show how, leagues are trending towards younger guys. But when we were, Jason, when you were young, there were no young head
Oh,
coaches.
yeah. No, it was probably median age was like in the 60s, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about who are the head coaches I watched growing up. Gary St. Jean is the first I really remember.
Okay.
Saint had to be
He was probably in his late 50s, maybe late 40s,
late 40s, early 50s. That's
Yeah.
not a young.
Right.
That's not 34.
Right.
And then you follow up with Eddie Jordan again, younger, but
Yeah.
not a 34-year-old. I mean,
No.
34 people still call us kids.
Right.
Rick Adelman was not a
He
young
had been
man.
around. Now he's young in Portland, but by the time he was here,
Muss was young,
Yeah,
but
he
Muss
was.
was early 40s,
Yeah.
right?
he might have been late 30s, maybe, but maybe early 40s.
Sure. Okay, so that might be the first case of it, but then again, I'm still 20 years younger than him at the
Yeah.
time, so I'm not tripping. Reggie
Yeah.
Theus was
He'd been around.
late 40s. He'd
Yeah.
been around. Like
George Carl was the most recent one.
George
in
Carl-
Westfall, they were
Westfall
older.
were older. Michael Malone, mid 40s, I
Yeah.
believe. Like, again, not young men.
Right.
But now we're getting to the point where, it's like, here's my question. Are we going to get to a point where we see a 20-something-year-old head coach at the pro level in one of these major sports?
It'd have to be late 20s, right? I would think.
Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
I'll say yes. Yeah. All right, one more here on leading off.
Cut number 3.
Doncic crossed the way to Brunson. Wide open for three. He hits as they did not get out to him.
Well, that
Knicks
is
are
a
getting out to him.
yes, a highlight of Jalen Brunson. He is going to be a key piece in the Knicks offseason moves. Free agency is just about here. Teams are opening up money, especially the Knicks. We'll explain that story and so much more as we've got a ton of basketball to cover. I know the season is over, like we said, but silly season and the craziness is about to begin. Before we get to that, a legend returned to the court yesterday. Is quite impressive, but unfortunately, Serena's run is over. We've got that and more coming up here on KHTK.
If you Dave Show with Jason Ross
The only local sports show in the morning.
on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Jason Ross, Jay Mars here on this Wednesday. Carmichael Day back with us tomorrow. I know he always, claims to not be the ever-loving husband, but, there he is, taking care of sweet Melissa.
It's his gimmick.
It is.
It's
He
his
downplays
gimmick.
that. He's like, whatever.
He bow downs to that
And there he
woman.
is. There he is, being the better half, or trying to be a better half.
Dearest Katie Christensen has busted him out on that
Yep,
one.
she called him out.
She's exposed him as a husband fraud.
Yeah, the flaws are there. Sorry, Dave, you've been caught. Back here on Sacktown Sports 1140. Appreciate everybody checking in good feedback. We've had some great feedback lately, honestly, on YouTube. We thank you. It's early. We appreciate you guys being out there and chatting, getting your own conversations going. Also, our text line at 916-339-1140. A couple things to clean up here, Jay. I think this was serious. You never know. Sarcasm on a tweet, on a text. LOL, this is such a great open. I think they like the idea of you getting me all swagged up for...
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to tell you, it's time, bro.
It's time?
It's time for you to come out of your shell.
Okay.
And let the real Jay Ross please stand up.
And just let it fly.
Yeah.
Let the freak flag fly. Okay. It's still KRAK 1140 to me with Joey Mitchell and Big Jim Hall. That's going in the Wayback Machine.
Okay, I worked with Big Jim for like a year.
Big Jim's awesome.
Big Jim's
and
great.
Joey, both of them.
Yeah, I've never met Joey, but
Okay,
I
he's
know who
great.
Joey
They
Mitchell
used to be
is.
in our old building, yeah.
But yeah, when funny. So your original building was my first building.
Correct.
That made
Yes.
sense to nobody but
Yeah,
you
but
and me. So we
Quirky
had
building.
dude, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
If you liked your car broken into, is a great place to work. But yeah, we had a classic hit station there. Big Jim was there for a year, and then they had flipped it. So I didn't really get to know him, but man, Big Jim was tall.
Big Jim, the name fits because you're either Big Jim
Holy
or he's
cow.
like, 4'6", and
Yes.
he's not. He's 6'4".
No.
I don't know what
Big
he is.
Jim was not a short guy.
Yeah. Hey, LOL, just realized you guys aren't Hot Talk anymore.
Thank you.
That's from Bud.
Thanks for making the switch to Sacktown Sports 1140, Bud.
To feel your pain, Jay, seeing players' kids playing is rough too. Cecil Fielder's son
Yeah.
retired years ago. What?
Yeah.
So you watch Cecil. Prince has now been out for years. That's a tough one.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I remember here showing my age. I remember buying at a birthday party at 10 years old my friend a Cecil Fielder starting lineup action figure, only to watch his son's whole career.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it with Vladdy Jr., with Bo
Right.
Bichette, Biggio's kid, who are all weirdly in the same place.
Yes.
Fernando Tatis Jr. I know I'm missing a few other ones.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it sucks.
I do remember Ken Griffey Sr. Vaguely, but
I
then
know.
Junior. Yeah, he was at the end, what I remember.
Did you watch Bobby Bonds, be honest?
I do not. I obviously remember him in the name, but I don't remember him playing. No.
Okay.
I don't. We were talking about random Kings games. I don't think these apply. Francisco Garcia game went like he was a kid. Like he played a lot. He was a main. He doesn't fit in the James Johnson, Scal, and Chemezi, does he?
I'm gonna politely disagree with that.
Whoa! Based on what? Cisco is like a leader in a lot of the categories in Kings history.
So is Jason Thompson.
Yeah, but I would say like he played a lot.
That didn't mean he's not random. Like, okay.
Okay, like Bogey over LA. You're not going to give that one, are you?
No. Bogey's
Okay.
not a rando.
Okay.
Cisco was a mainstay here for a while. And he
Yes.
signed an extension here, was a first-round pick here.
I honestly don't remember his game winner, by the way. Anyway.
Neither do I. So
Okay.
that should tell you something.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, do you think anybody in the 29 other fan bases in the NBA know who Francisco Garcia is?
We're too close to him. Yes, I agree.
That's my point.
Okay.
Nobody else knows or cares about Francisco Garcia. Jason Thompson is the Kings' all-time leader in games played for the Sacramento era.
No one in the outside of Sacramento. A lot of people in Sacramento won't get that.
No.
But outside, there's no way.
Nobody answers that question correctly. So again, no, rando.
And again, Cisco has other moments. The thing I every time now that I think of Francisco Garcia, I take us back to the Bill Walton on broadcast days. And Cisco had an inbound pass in Phoenix. And it was a poor one. But Bill Walton, in the classic Bill Walton way, say that is the worst inbound in the history of basketball. And I'm like, I think you went too far. I'm going to say it.
Wow.
You went too far, Bill.
Are you saying Bill might have, applied a little hyperbole?
I'm going to. The worst
You're calling out the great
inbound
Bill Walton.
in the history of basketball. I think it's the most hilarious comment. I'm like, wow. And so I just never, every time I think of Cisco, I think of that.
Did you LOL when you heard it? Like,
I
legitimately?
totally laughed. I'm like, that is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, my memories of Francisco Garcia are not on the court, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Again, back in those days, did a lot of DJ'd in clubs, MC'd in clubs, ran into a lot of former Kings players in clubs.
I could believe that.
Let me tell you something. I have stories, and I'm not going to bust some of these guys out.
What do you guys think?
But I'll tell you one.
Okay, there we go.
It involved Ron Artest.
Oh.
We had a concert at a small club. Ron shows up with, do you remember Justin Williams?
Yeah.
Ron and Justin Williams show up. Ron is having
a random pairing.
Ron is having a good time.
Good.
We're hanging out, and I'm joking with him like, "Hey man, you got to get me a tryout." He looks at me dead serious in the face, like, "I'm calling Jeff Petrie tomorrow." Like that's how much fun Ron was having. He was dead serious that he was calling Jeff in the morning and getting me a tryout with the team because this was the summer, so
you were available, and
I was available.
They were looking for bodies.
They had roster spots open.
Yeah.
Ron was dead serious. Did not follow through.
That would have been so great. Like, we just hear about that after the fact. The tryout that nobody knew about.
Yeah. There you go.
Mars.
Ron promised a phone call and a tryout to Jeff Petrie and never followed through.
Man, I'd call him out on that next time he's in studio.
The other stories I have to tell you off the air.
Okay. Well, we'll accept those off the air. That's for sure. Yesterday, it was a big return, much anticipated return to tennis for Serena Williams. Her comeback's amazing on multiple levels. I think one time we were talking about her recently, Jay, and you made a great point. Like, she's a legend, maybe one of the greatest athletes ever, all time in any sport. But also for females that have a child, like to come back. She's come back from that. Now she's coming back from injury. She's 40, which in this sport, I mean, that's 100.
By the way, that tripped me out when I saw she was 40. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things you knew, but then it was
I thought she was like
wait.
36, 30,
Yeah,
you know. But,
same.
And by all accounts, even her own, like it was the most intense, insane, competitive first round match. And ultimately she lost in a third set tiebreaker. The tennis was really good, really high level. And there's no indication. She was very vague on like, I don't know. I just don't know when she was asked, like, is this your last time at Wimbledon? She didn't say it wasn't. She didn't say it was. I think when you're at that point, I know she wanted to get back. So to prove that she could play again.
Which, by the way, I think she did.
She definitely did. And she was 2 points away in the third set of just advancing. And just, I think the more she played, she might have gone a decent few rounds here. I don't know how she wants to end her career. I obviously it was a point to come back and return, which is good for her. But she should have every right to write that script however she wants to do it.
You got to imagine she wants one more major before she, calls it a career, right? Like at least one more after 40. It's a great story. It's a great way for her to wrap.
Yeah.
But kind of Serena doesn't have to prove anything.
No.
This is not an apples to oranges comparison, but isn't it kind of akin to what Tiger Woods is doing right now?
Yeah, and I think I love when an athlete's being truly truthful to themselves, not they can say they're the best in the world and or no one, when we hear the 90s, like Scottie Pippen Bulls, like, oh, we beat every team now. Like, okay, like,
shut up.
Whatever. It doesn't even matter, but like, okay, you're confident, but you weren't the best player on the team. You were really good. You were great. You're a Hall of Famer. But when there's also the real, like, oh man, that kid's, I'm not that fast anymore. Like whenever they're having that dialogue, like we don't need to know it publicly, but I love the inner, like, does Serena think she's still the best? Or does she think like it's going to take 2 weeks of my best, which I've shown I'm capable of in the past, but can I do this for 2 weeks to win a major?
We had that same conversation when Tiger announced that he was coming back in the Masters, right? They're so you don't get to be as great as these athletes are without that mindset 24/7 that you're the best.
Right.
I think they might see themselves slowing down, and they're trying to figure out how to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
Still at this point in their career.
Right.
We saw Michael do it late 30s, early 40s, especially in that Wizard state,
Yes.
They're not wired to think like me and you, like, man, I'm slowing down.
Right.
Like, ooh, man, that hurts a little more than it used to. Like, ooh, that kid is fat.
Yeah.
Like, they don't think like that.
Yeah.
They're so used to being the dominant person at what they do. I think that takes a long time for an athlete at that level to get over.
Yeah, and I think that's why a guy like Tom Brady's so successful. Like, he's never done it on athletic ability. Now, he's gifted, but he's got all the smarts. It's all matched up with it. I've been in every experience. My arm's still good. Like, I'm not going to outrun people, but I can figure out the situations in a sport like that where it's one-on-one. There's a lot of speed, skill, stamina. She's still a legend, still one of the greatest, and if she wants to keep playing, go for it. And it's been a treat to watch her all these years. All right, the Browns, they're in wait-and-see mode on this Deshaun Watson story, but maybe one of their backup plans is Baker Mayfield, but he surely doesn't seem to be all in on the Browns. We've got that and more NFL next.
You know they've been here for a combined 50 years. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross
On Sacktown Sports 1140.
You know, I think I got frustrated with it not happening before, like mini camp and all those things. But that's the stuff that's out of my control. And so, let those things happen and fall into place. And so right now I'm just controlling what I can and enjoying this.
That is Baker Mayfield of, the Cleveland Browns.
Not Friar Mayfield, Baker Mayfield.
That's right. Here on Sacktown Sports 1140, Jason Ross, Jay Mars, Carmichael Day back with us tomorrow. Let's get some NFL here. We got a lot of basketball to cover. Still some baseball, too, as we take you till 9. Then we have early baseball. A's and Yankees.
9:05 start time from the Bronx.
Day baseball.
You going to the game?
Yes.
Cool.
Right after the show. Making my way to New York.
Nice.
Batting 9th.
Really?
Yeah, for the Yankees.
They DHing you today, or are you getting on the field?
Hot corner, playing third.
Atta boy.
Yeah, playing third base.
You and cousin Craig taking some infield before the game?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's what I always dreamed of.
Working on that
still
backhand.
time. Like Will Hardy's at 34. I'm trying to come in late in life to be the Yankees' third baseman. There's still time. I mean, it still could be.
Yeah. Then we can redo the rookie, the movie.
Yes, exactly.
The Dennis Quaid.
They need a light hitting or non-hitting, poor fielding, rag arm third baseman.
You know what everybody does?
Yeah, there's not enough of them going around.
I agree.
Not enough of them going
Really
around.
hard to find these days.
Yes. The Browns, the whole Deshaun Watson story is just gross. Yeah, in many levels. I think there's a second part of the hearing today. I from what I read and heard, I think there's a small chance, Jay, that the judge can dismiss everything. I don't think that part's going to happen. But after that, basically, it's going to be up to Roger Goodell and the league to decide what they want to do.
And what could go wrong with that?
I think what are you suggesting? I mean, the past has been pretty flawless.
You're right. Every time something that comes to assault, whether it's sexual or battery, especially when
I
it's
look at the NFL as like the benchmark.
gold standard, right? Jeez. Sarcasm, people, if you're not picking up on it.
Yeah, and not to trivialize that, but the Browns will have to go on, whether it's with him or without him, into whatever their suspension or none. With the season coming up, they got to figure out their quarterback situation. They clearly wanted to go somewhere else than Baker Mayfield. But there's some talk that, hey, if Deshaun Watson gets 6 games, 10 games a season, right now quarterback 1 would be Baker Mayfield, or is it Jacoby Brissett? I don't know, but could it be Baker Mayfield, which, well, in the past, he's been their quarterback that took him to a playoffs.
If you're looking at it just from the roster, it's clearly Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at it from Baker Mayfield's perspective, it's not Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and to your point, here's Baker talking about kind of that mutual decision.
Whoops, that's on me, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty obvious the mutual decision on both sides is to move on. I'm thankful for my 4 years in Cleveland. There's a lot of ups and downs and a ton of learning experiences that I'll forever keep with me. Teammates and friends and relationships that I'll have for a lifetime.
All right, let's follow that up with can he work it out with the Browns?
But I think a lot of people think if they didn't have a quarterback for the next year, would there be any chance of reconciliation there?
No, I think for that to happen, there would have to be some reaching out, but we're ready to move on, I think, on both sides.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, no, there'd have to be some reaching out, which can happen. I mean, you're as good as your options, right? And if the Browns now become desperate, oh, no, Baker, we love, can you patch that up?
But help me understand this. So, obviously, the Browns sign and guarantee a boatload of money to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You're telling me, and this is what it sounds like, Cleveland never reached out to Baker and was like, look, Deshaun's available.
Here's
we
our
have
plan.
a trade on the table. We're going to pay him this. Here's the plan. Because it sounds like from what Baker Mayfield's saying, that conversation never happened. And then additionally, has there been no conversation between the two parties since the trade? What is happening here?
Yeah, and the other part, too, I mean, Baker's got to be frustrated on multiple levels. One, you're taking now we're talking about ego and confidence. You're taking number one on a quarterback-starved franchise. And maybe you don't live up to number one, but Baker Mayfield wasn't a bust, in my opinion.
Absolutely not.
He's done productive things. There's things,
He's not Joe Burrow at number one, but
no.
He's a solid NFL quarterback.
Absolutely. And I think his camp, and he should believe the same, that, okay, things don't always work out in the first organization, but I'm going to be a starter in this league. There hasn't been a nibble for him, and that's got to be frustrating. And the same, to be honest, with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Garoppolo's coming off surgery. Mayfield was hurt last year, played injured, but still played. When you're out there, you're evaluated in that assessment. So you could have a broken leg, but we're evaluating you. So
how much
he's
of that
be
is
frustrated?
And that goes back to, again, the whole conversation thing. And you have to go back to what is the Deshaun Watson timeline with the Browns and how sure were they when they knew they were going to have him? Because I feel like if they were really targeting Watson, there were so many opportunities to move on from Baker because there was a lot of teams looking for a quarterback. We saw the carousel go around, and clearly had Baker been on the table during that time, I'm sure someone would have grabbed him.
Yeah, and then it also, okay, let's put you in Baker's spot, Jay. Like, okay, they come to you today and say, look, we're going to need you. I don't know if Baker swallows the pride and says, I'm done with you guys, but maybe you're not on a roster.
Well, here's how to look at it, and here's how I look at it. I think if Cleveland were to say screw it and just give him a release, which they won't do because that's too big of a cap hit, you're looking at it. It's just an unwinnable situation if you're the Browns. This comes down to Baker Mayfield, and you say swallow his pride. You kind of have to look at him and say, dude, take the Jimmy Garoppolo approach.
Yep.
Go out there and ball out. You'll find a new home because the difference is, the Niners still had another year of Jimmy G on the books where Baker's a free agent next year.
Mm-hmm.
So he could go out and let's say the NFL suspends him for the year and Baker goes out and has a Pro Bowl caliber season. He's going to get paid next year. And if you're Baker Mayfield, don't you kind of have to take that approach at this point?
I would. I mean, that's the best advice I would give him. And Jimmy G's scenario almost happened. It was, what if he comes back and they start him and he wins the Super Bowl? They got pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And had he not been injured, I think there was a bigger market for him. But that's
sure.
the other risk that Baker, what if Baker gets hurt again?
And that's just it. There was a bigger market for Jimmy pre-injury. I don't think it was that much bigger.
Right.
I think the injury's been really overblown as far as not being able to trade him.
Yeah.
I think really it just comes down to his contract is bloated and he's not that good. He's
Yeah.
good. He's solid. Yeah. I think Baker's better than Jimmy. And I think he has a real opportunity to show that this year if he wants to come back and play. From everything we read, he's feeling better. His shoulder's healthier. Dude, go out and ball out. Get yourself a deal. Leave Cleveland shaking their head that they committed all that money to Deshaun Watson when you were the guy. Go prove yourself. Because, Jason, if he sits out this year, nobody's giving him a big deal in the free agency market next year.
No, and teams ultimately, I think this last season is a great lesson of how talent evaluators in the NFL look at things. They want talent. That's the key. And I don't think Carson Wentz has proven himself to be this must-have quarterback, but he's played that way. That's what it's played out to be.
He's treated that way, right?
Yeah, where it's talent. I've heard there's been questions about character. None of that's in play for Jimmy G.
No.
Quality guy,
He's
leader.
on Subway commercials.
Well, then it's fact, right?
By the way, isn't it hilarious? I saw him on the Subway commercial this morning. I'm like, Subway's pitchman is not starting on 32 NFL teams.
The other bit, by the way, have you seen that it's on Twitter. I don't know who it is, but drawing Jimmy G every day until they get traded. Have you seen that person?
No.
You haven't seen that?
No.
I don't know who it is, but they get retweeted, or maybe I must follow them. But
they just draw pictures of Jimmy?
Yeah, it's great, though.
Is it random pictures of
yes,
Jimmy?
but
Doing what?
I got to find it.
Subway.
Anywhere. He could be
looking handsome,
looking at the Mona Lisa,
on a date with a porn star.
Anything. At a baseball game. It's anything.
So it's just Jimmy G does?
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, we're over 100 plus days of that, and it's pretty crazy.
Go check it out.
Yes. But one other NFL note, kind of Niners related, Terry McLaurin get a big payday for Washington. But I think that's of note to Deebo Samuel's camp. They got to look at okay, we're both 3-year receivers. We do things a little differently. He's caught more passes, but he hasn't run bigger part of the offense. So Deebo's group that wants to get paid should look at those numbers.
Deebo's getting paid.
He is.
I don't know if it's the Niners, but Deebo's getting paid.
Yeah. All right. The night in baseball comes up next, as expected. The Bay Area teams. Giants get the win over a bad team. The A's lose to a good team. We've got that and more in the day in baseball next.
You wanted more Kings? It's the Carmichael Dave Show.
He's on the microphone when he's not on the microphone. He's playing a song, and when he's not playing a song, he's on the microphone, and then boom.
With Jason Ross.
Jay, hey, my headset's
Text or call the show at 916-339-1140.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross
On Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, back here to start the second hour. Jason Ross, Jay Mars. Carmichael Dave off today. He is back with us tomorrow. And so we appreciate all of you checking in today. The show within the show, believe it or not, you just never know what's going to happen off air. We were talking about Big Country Bryant Reeves.
Like everyone else does.
Of course, during the breaks. So just a quick rando trivia over-under, Jay Mars, for you on our basketball aficionado that knows all about every player. Big Country Bryant Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to find his best offensive season. And let's go with this. His third year. Yeah. Third year scoring-wise. Over-under averaging 16.8 points per game.
Over-under? Over.
His best season, under 16.3.
Dang it.
Over-under his best season the year before that in rebounds of, we'll go with 8.0.
Over.
8.1. Career averages of 12.5 points, 6.9 boards. Played 6 seasons.
Drafted in 96?
95.
95.
Yep.
So he...
Was he an original, Grizz?
So he's their first ever draft pick, and also, 6 seasons, that's 95 to 01. Never played in Memphis?
Yeah, all Vancouver.
Wow, now there's the
He's
trivia.
an all-time great Vancouver Grizzly.
Is he the greatest Vancouver Grizzly of all time?
Would Sharif pass him?
Sharif did not play in Memphis, right? Sharif would have been... Okay, so then Sharif was their first-round pick the following year. Yeah,
so it's gotta be Sharif. But he's on the list.
Top 5.
And Bibby was 1 year in Vancouver?
No, he played 2.
2?
2. And then, again, he was traded before they went to Memphis.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's probably Sharif, Big Country, Bibby...
What was his name? Dickerson? Michael Dickerson was
Michael Dickerson played in Vancouver. That's right. Sam Mack.
Wow. Who?
Sam Mack.
You made that up.
No, real player.
I went to the 97-98.
Greg Anthony has to be a top 5 Vancouver Grizzly.
97-98 Vancouver Grizzlies lineup. Just random. Sharif, Pete Chilcutt, Antonio Daniels, Blue Edwards, Bobby Hurley, all ex-Kings here, George Lynch, Sam Mack, Tony Massenberg, another King, Lee Mayberry, Ivano Newbill, Anthony Peeler,
AP.
Chris Robinson, who was a King, Bryant Reeves, Larry Robinson, Michael the Animal Smith, and Otis Thorpe. My goodness, Sharif played for the Kings, Chilcutt, Hurley, Massenberg, Peeler, Chris Robinson, Michael Smith, and Otis Thorpe. They had 8 Kings on that team.
I knew all those guys played for the Grizzlies except Chili. I did not know Chili was a Grizzly.
I didn't either.
Got to get Chili on asking about his time up north.
Yeah, more memorable, Sacramento, Houston, or Vancouver?
I would definitely say Vancouver for the weather.
Probably. Probably.
I've heard British Columbia is gorgeous.
I have too. That was one of the spots I never made it to, and people raved about. I mean, people love going to Seattle in the NBA, and they love going to Vancouver, and I wish I had. I never did.
Shout out to the 6 years of the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yes, those were the best of times.
I agree.
Shout out to the Sacramento Kings. Tendered a 2-way qualifying offer to Neemias Queta to make him a restricted free agent starting on July 1st. That's according to Keith Smith. And already I see a
friend
bunch
of
people,
the show, Keith Smith.
Yeah, people commenting, "Oh, good, we can sign him." No, I mean restricted. Kings have rights there.
Yeah.
So someone else could come in, I guess.
I don't know who's gonna give him money.
I think the Kings plan on keeping him.
I think he accepts the qualifying offer and is probably a 2-way player again this year, which is fine.
Yeah.
Get him running Stockton again. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
I think there's potential there. I mean, when you watch him, you look at that, to me, is a potential play.
Mm-hmm.
And also one of those that if it never materializes, you move on. But if it does, then you got what they say is the proverbial diamond in the rough.
Yep, and so I'm interested. I mean, I thought he was fun to watch at times in Stockton last year, so let's see how he develops. We'll see him in Summer League, I'm sure, this year with the Kings, so that'll be fun to watch.
And speaking of Summer League, we will be there. We're going to be out there for a few days for a few shows. This show, we will be out there looking for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of shows where we hopefully have a ton of guests out there. We look forward to that. Sacktown Sports 1140's coverage of the 2022 NBA Summer League is brought to you by Power Business Technology. Find them online at powercopiers.com. powercopiers.com.
Grumpy King in the YouTube chat says, I dream of big country at least once a week, so it wasn't just us.
Same. Yeah, we're all in the same spot. We're with you. Last night, let's take a listen to how it ended for the Oakland A's in New York.
Little grounder to second. And the throw to first base is in time for the out. Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
Okay, I'm a Yankees fan. Do you hate that? Is that awful?
Do I hate it? No, I don't hate it. It's just, what Sterling's 84, and I'm not trying to be an ageist.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's getting harder for him to do.
Plus, I mean, again, he's made quite a few mistakes lately the last couple of years. But whatever. It's one of those things when it's your team. I don't know. I enjoy it, but I could see how people hate it. The surprising thing, it's not surprising that the Yankees beat the A's. That's best.
Oh, it's not?
Best team in baseball, worst team in baseball. What is surprising, Jay, though, the Yankees in their history, I mean, they've been the baseball's, in the totality, one of the best franchises, if not the best. It's their second best start in their history through 75 games. That is amazing.
Well, think about it. 75 games. They're 35 games over 500. This coming into a year where Aaron Judge and you had the whole arbitration thing hanging over that. And he's going to get paid next year. My Lord, the year Aaron Judge is having is just fantastic. But, man, to me, what really is setting kind of these Yankees apart, though, is their starting pitching's been pretty darn good.
Yeah, Garrett Cole got off to a slower start, but they're much better depth. They're pitching, and then their lineup's
Nasty
ridiculous.
Nestor, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their lineup is ridiculous. It's
55-20 in what was considered the best of it. I mean, the Blue Jays are good. They're 10 above 500. The Red Sox have figured it out.
Blue Jays have been struggling recently, though.
Yeah. They've got 4 of the teams above 500, and actually Baltimore's 35-41. I mean, that's been a team that would win 50 games in a year.
Nobody had Baltimore winning 35 games, 76 games into the season.
Right.
Nobody. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. They would be in third in the Central.
The Central sucks this year outside of the Twins. I mean, the Guardians are decent, but outside the Twins, the Central sucks.
Yeah, basically third in the West. The Orioles would be.
And the West sucks, too.
Yeah.
The West spent all that money this offseason between Texas, the Mariners loading up, the Angels, and it's the Astros division, and it's
just
not
doing their thing, and they even lost players.
No, exactly. It's not even particularly close.
The last 2 years, they lose Springer, they lose Correa. Here they are, 46-27.
Unreal.
All right, so that was expected last night. By the way, day baseball coming up shortly after us. Right after us, we're going to get to the what's that?
Morning baseball.
It is morning
for
baseball.
Us.
Day in New York, morning for us. Let's hear how it played out for the Giants.
Here's the pitch. Baez bounces it towards short. Estrada to second. That's one. Flores to first. Got him, double play. The Giants hang on and get the win. It was not easy against this struggling Tigers team.
Yeah, Giants.
Easy.
Dave Fleming there, Giants Radio Network. Giants haven't been playing their best. They had a tough series with the Reds. They've got just a 2-gamer with Detroit. I think there's only, I read 4 or 5 series left before the break. But the Dodgers have lost 3 of 4. They've had trouble with the Rockies, so they just got to stay close, got to stay in this crowded wild card race.
The Giants are lucky, though, because they had one with Detroit. Their next 7 games, they have one with Detroit. Then the White Sox are coming in, who stink right now. How Tony La Russa still has a job is beyond me.
May not be for longer.
Then you got 3 in Arizona. Diamondbacks don't suck, but you're a better team than Arizona. This is an ideal time for the Giants to catch up.
Yeah,
in the
should have
NL
been.
West.
They blew it with the Reds, but yeah.
Right. But with the Dodgers, is it any coincidence that they've struggled the last 4 games coming off of the Freddie Freeman stuff?
Yeah, I mean,
so
obviously,
weird.
Emotional weekend for him. There's the story that came out, too, that he basically ditched his representation after his offseason, which, I mean, he got paid. I don't know where the falling out was there.
The falling out was basically he wanted that deal in Atlanta, and Chipper Jones told Freddie Freeman, told his camp, we're not doing that. You're overplaying this, and I honestly think he wanted more. It was very obvious Freddie Freeman wanted to stay in Atlanta. You saw it all weekend. He's crying.
Yeah.
If you saw him interacting,
looked like all his best friends were still on the team.
Dude, if you saw him interacting pregame, you would have thought he still played for the Braves. Yeah. Like, it was clear his heart was in Atlanta.
They gave him a microphone to talk to the crowd on the road. Like, that doesn't, like, you can get the video tribute, the thank you, like, but it's also good riddance in a sense. Like, we love you, but he's talking to that just doesn't happen.
No, ever. It would be akin to the Patriots that first year, giving Tom Brady a microphone first year in Tampa Bay. Hey, Tom, it's pregame. Come say something to the super nice people here at Foxborough.
Right. Yeah, it just
you don't see that.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to impact Freeman. I mean, he got his deal. He's in L.A. He's a Dodger. He's going to be a prominent player for them. They hope he has the big hits that he did for the Braves last year in their World Series run. Yeah,
he's been great now,
as expected. I mean, he's in a stacked lineup, and he's part of it. I mean, he is going to be – that's the thing. When you have a stacked lineup and the Dodgers get there, and let's just fast forward to the postseason, Jay, and envision a series where they go, man, Mookie Betts is struggling. Mm-hmm. Okay. Freeman's not. Or Freeman has won for his last 19. Turner's raking. Like, when you have that many, it's tough to keep that many bats
and
down.
And with the Dodgers, you say which Turner is raking.
Right, that's true. That's true. And to the point, that's what the Yankees have. The Mets are trying to establish that. When you've got a lineup that is just depth all the way through, that's what makes teams scary. And then if you back it up with pitching and good defense, you got yourself a really good team.
Yeah, and if you're MLB, you are just praying to the baseball gods who probably won't answer your prayers because they're angry with you.
Yes.
That you get Yankees-Dodgers this year. Not just because it's Yankees-Dodgers, but again, the star power, which baseball lacks, both of those teams have it.
Right. Yeah, and that's would make for a great series if we get there. All right. We've got 3 for coming up. Let's pick a dream free agent to land as a Sacramento King. We did realistic ones earlier in the week, but let's think big. Let's pick a dream free agent for the Sacramento Kings. We've got that in 3 for in 60 seconds.
Hey, you want easier? questions, 3 answers. It's 3 for Madness on the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Question 1.
All right, it is time for 3 for Madness. Jason Ross.
Stupid things to each other.
Jay Marth. I don't think they were stupid. I think they were funny.
I agree.
All right, what do you have for us on 3 for Madness?
Oh, I got a whole bunch of questions.
How about 3 of them?
Great idea.
Nice.
We talked the other day about quote-unquote realistic free agents for the Kings.
Okay.
But, Jason Ross, what if you could pick one player from the list of free agents this offseason? Who would you pick for the Kings?
Kyrie. No, sorry. Didn't even
Wow,
say that
I was
out loud.
really hoping you were going to make that argument just now.
Kyrie, James Harden. We're going big. Okay, we're not doing realistic, but I'm going realistic in the star sense, right? This is someone the Kings aren't going to be able to get. But let's dream. I'm trying to do fit, timeline, talent. I like Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine, who...
That's your 2, right? Uber athletic. Can also be a decision maker, playmaker, be on the ball.
Could you imagine him running the break with De'Aaron Fox?
Oh, man. I just think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I was also leaning a little bit, though, Bradley Beal. They do it differently. He's a much better shooter, prolific scorer. I think he would be awesome, too. But I'm not going the defensive route at all. I don't know. LaVine's fine.
I didn't even count Bradley Beal because I think he's either going to opt in or get extended in Washington. I don't even look at it
it's
as
probably
a free
too
agent.
Unrealistic, but
where Zach LaVine is legit, like, considering leaving Chicago.
Yeah, and age, like where he is, like he'd never come to the Kings. Probably not. I mean, again, I think it's unrealistic, but you pay him a boatload, which they don't have. I mean, so we're going unrealistic.
Yeah.
That's the guy I like the fit, talent, timeline, all of it together.
It's not super unrealistic if you give him the max just because, well, Zach LaVine once upon a time accepted a qualifying offer in Sacramento.
True.
So, again,
I think the fit would be good.
I think the fit would be spectacular.
Yeah.
If you ran out next year, So we're saying, like, let's say your scenario happens, Jason.
So it's Fox,
Levine in the backcourt,
and Levine,
Barnes and Murray at the 3 and 4.
Yeah, we're doing nothing else
and
as of now.
Domas at the 5.
I mean, how is that team not really competitive every night? With then you're assuming, well, we'll go with Mitchell and some of the filler that they have on the bench.
Let's look at your benches. Mitchell, probably Dante DiVincenzo,
Yeah,
Trey
Holiday.
Lyles, Mo Harkless, Rashawn Holmes, Justin Holiday's at the end of that bench. That's a really good team.
That is.
It's too bad it's not realistic.
I know. So do you have one?
I do. It's Miles Bridges.
Okay.
I thought Miles Bridges took.
Where do you place him?
So I place him number 2 to Zach LaVine.
No. I mean, on the.
Oh, he's your starting 3.
Okay, and then we figure out Barnes.
You
somehow.
figure out Barnes
Okay.
somehow, but
Okay.
if you're committing to Miles Bridges, you're committing to him to be your starting 3 for
uber
4
athletic
years.
too.
Super athlete, really has improved his game every single year. Was a borderline all-star. You could argue at times with the injuries that the Hornets had last year. There were times where he was their best player.
He's such a good power dunker. Both are.
He is.
Too, but
he's improved his defense, and again, he's another guy that I think would be a great person to run out there with Sabonis and with Fox. So,
and he's what early?
He's early 20s. He's coming off of his rookie deal. He's a babe.
Yeah, he's a babe. All right, let's get them both. Let's get them both.
Great idea.
I mean, what's stopping them?
So if
what is stopping them? Give me a reason. Do you have one?
I have 3.
3?
3.
Okay.
Number 1, money.
2,
Sacramento.
3,
basketball.
I was in a good mood.
Sorry to ruin it.
All right, number 2.
Question 2.
Hey, Jason.
I don't like when you have facts, Jay.
I know, facts suck. What is your baseball game preference? Day game or night game? This is a great question, actually. I've never really thought about it on a deep level.
Well, in my history of going to baseball games, I mean, I'm going to get... Haven't you been to more day games?
That, I'm going to say I have not.
Generally go to... Oh, you go to more...
I think I've been to more night games.
Really?
Yeah. It's
generally, I
quite
go
close.
on the weekend. Mm-hmm. Generally, those are the week, midday, daytime. Oh, man. There's something about watching. I like day baseball, though. Like watching it on TV. Like just the sun's out.
Isn't it more relaxing?
Day baseball?
Yeah. I feel like it's more relaxing.
I guess my answer's day. I like day baseball. Now, most of it, like when we get to the play, it's always night, right? For the most part, it's prime time.
Yeah.
I love day baseball.
I love day baseball.
And to be honest, like most of our basketball games are night. Like when the Kings were in the playoffs, like there was something so spectacular about waking up. Like this is when they're playoffs, having festivities. Like you're out in the parking lot at like 10.
Yep.
And the game's at 12:30, and it finishes, and you're driving home in the daylight, either celebrating or crying. It's like, man, day basketball, meaningful day basketball is awesome.
Yeah, but I think day sports are just better than night sports, period.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. I'd rather be at an afternoon football game than an evening game. I've done both. I've enjoyed the afternoon games better. I enjoy afternoon baseball so much more than night baseball. The weather's typically better.
Yeah.
Again,
it could be hot, but whatever. You're ready for that.
Sure. The ambience of the park, again, it just seems a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
And then you still have your evening ahead of you if you want to just chill and relax versus like if you go to a Sunday night baseball game, you got work the next morning. That kind of sucks. But a Sunday afternoon game, come home, chill, have dinner, get ready for the week ahead of you. Perfect scenario, weekday baseball in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Play hooky from work or school. So it's like I have so many fond memories of like, especially during the summer, just weekday baseball games in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, for our schedule, like we should do a show trip to Giants or A's, or like a day game.
Yes,
but like it just doesn't make sense for us to go to a night game for either of those because we got to be up so darn early. But I'm going day baseball.
But go to the Coliseum with 7 other people. That sounds amazing.
We're the whole crowd.
Listen, half the attendance is the Sacktown Sports 1140 morning show.
All right, question 3.
Question 3.
Jason already said that, voice guy. Draymond Green said the Warriors will win 3 of the next 4 championships. Agree or disagree?
Well, I'm going to disagree, but first off, like, that's bold. That's brave. Why aren't you winning all 4? Like,
that's
you're giving yourself an out. Like, you're very confident in this statement. We're winning 3 of the next 4.
Who says that plays?
Did this last one count? Even if we count this one, I'm not going 3 of 4.
I'm not, no.
But, like, he said this. He was all in, like, if we're healthy, we're winning it. I'm like, okay. At that time, I'm like, I don't think you are. At the end, they did. He was right. I don't think they're winning 3 of the next 4, but you're right. Like, why?
Why 3 of 4?
We're going to be champions the next 9 of 10 years.
Well,
what happened?
So Draymond, in that
Who's
year,
beating you?
Yeah, in that year, did you guys get hurt? Did you miss
Right.
the playoffs? What round did you lose in, since you seem to be, Draymond Stradamus?
Yeah. I mean, he's ultimate confident guy. I like that. He also
For sure.
came back and said, too, like, look, we would not have beat the Cavs without KD. I'm like,
No.
okay, good for you. I mean, which we all agree with, but
That-
sometimes guys don't admit that, and he did.
Listen, that 17 Cavs team, the team after the year they won, was so good.
Yeah.
They were leaps and bounds better than the team that won the title.
Right.
And I agree with Draymond completely.
They needed KD.
They needed KD, and that goes to show how important KD was to this dynasty. I think he gets a little overlooked at this point because that team was so dominant.
Yeah.
But super important guy.
Yeah, and I'm sticking with the kind of in the realm of the Warriors championships. They don't have to apologize for this one. I don't think this was their best team.
No, not at all.
And I think there were maybe teams in the league that were even better than them this year,
Yeah.
but that it didn't
Doesn't
play out
matter.
that way. Like when they say the best teams wins, when you get in a series, like were they better than Boston in the series? They were, for sure. I don't know that they would have beaten the Bucks. They didn't play the Bucks.
Nope.
I don't know that they would have beaten the Suns. They didn't play Phoenix. It doesn't matter.
No, it's how it shakes out. At
Yeah.
the end, here's how I always look at it when everyone's like, well, they didn't play the best team. Well, the best team didn't make it, so were they the best team number one?
It's the path you get.
It's called, you have to win to be the best team.
Right.
The Warriors won out at the end. They're the best team.
Yeah.
Period. That's
Yeah.
how that works.
And maybe it makes up for, like, they would have beat the Raptors
Yes.
with
Clay
Clay
and Clay.
KD
Yeah,
healthy.
oh.
They would have.
They probably sweep them, right?
They weren't. They lost. Toronto shouldn't apologize either. They're the champs. They'll
No.
always be champs. It was a circumstance of the series, but maybe this one makes up for that because I thought that team should have won one.
Yeah.
I don't know that this one should have, but they did, and that's what they've got that championship forever.
I think of the 4 titles, this is the most special, given, the circumstances. Well,
Not the first one.
no, I think the 4th one is. I think that first team was better than this team.
Okay.
I also think, given the 2 years that
With
the Warriors
KD.
have had, well, no, not with
Oh.
KD. I mean the last 2 years.
Oh
where
yeah, what they've gone through.
what they've gone through. They weren't a playoff team. Clay out for 2 years.
Right.
Steph was essentially out for a full year. Draymond was just kind of there
He was
waiting
coasting.
waiting for these guys to get healthy. I don't think many people had predicted the Warriors to win the title at the beginning of the season.
Correct.
I think this was the most special team of the 4.
Yeah, but on the 3 of 4, I don't see it happening.
Oh no, there's
Yeah, barring they make some other trade that you go okay, and the development of those other young guys that really
Sure.
weren't impactful yet, as far as Moody, Kuminga, and Wiseman. Like if those guys really grow, man, they have potential to be fantastic. But that's a lot of ifs there.
You need those guys to grow into all-star caliber players along with Jordan Poole, because I'm guessing they're going to retain him.
Right.
If that happens, then okay, I'll buy into the 3 of 4 argument. But number one, I need to see that from them. Number two, we don't know what the rest of the league landscape's going to look like for the next 4 years. I mean, you see, especially in the NBA, because transactions are so hot and heavy. I mean, the landscape of the league can change at the snap of the finger at any time.
Yeah, and as frustrating as Kyrie can be, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant's still going to be really good if they play.
Yeah,
right? It will be.
It's just it.
Yeah.
You have KD, who's had some injury issues, which is going to just be a thing.
Right.
Kyrie is just okay.
But
and
that's
then
talent.
Oh, my guy's top 10 talent in the league when he plays. And then Ben Simmons is another one. You're just kind of like, what's going to happen there?
Yeah. Boston should get better, you would think. Miami's I mean, there's good teams.
Yep.
And the Warriors are definitely on that list. All right. Well, should I stay or should I go? Players and teams currently are going through options, making their decisions. One of them, Russ, is back in L.A. We've got him singing even if nobody wanted to hear it. We've got that coming up.
A revamped website, expanded coverage of the teams you love, more accessible than ever. Where is it? Online Leading conversation about kitchen gadgets and baseball cards.
I think that's really crazy interesting.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sacktown Sports 1140.
We're going to get to Russell Westbrook singing and telling you why he was singing yesterday in a few moments here. But some news from Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski. This, according to Woj, the Washington Wizards and Denver Nuggets finalizing a trade to acquire for Denver.
Jokic.
Denver would be sending Will Barton and Monty Morris for KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Ish Smith.
The great Ish Smith?
The great Ish Smith. The deal is getting final approvals now and expected to be completed soon. That's according to sources and according to Woj. You were saying during the break, too, to me, that if this does come down, which, when it gets this far along, most of the time these trades happen, that's some serious ish.
Yeah,
for
man.
Ish Smith.
Dude.
He's breaking some records.
Ish Smith, who I don't think anyone had on their NBA record breaker bingo card this morning, but let me inform you that should that trade go down, should Ish Smith appear with Denver for 1 second this year, that would be his 13th NBA franchise that he has played for, which would break a 5-way tie for number one. So right now he is tied at 12 with, honestly, 3 former Kings, which is pretty great. The one former King he's not is Joe Smith, played for 12.
Okay.
And then these 3 former Kings, Tony Massenberg, Jim Jackson, and dear friend Chucky Brown.
Dear friend Chucky Brown. So if this happens, he would then join Denver.
Yep.
Here's his list. Played for 6 games with the Warriors, 15 for Memphis, 16 for Milwaukee, 27 for New Orleans, 28 for Houston, 30 for OKC, 37 for Charlotte, 56 for Orlando.
There we go.
70 for Phoenix.
Woo!
75 for Philly.
Woo!
140 for Washington, and 219 for Detroit. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a Wizard twice.
Yeah.
So,
Holy Ish.
wow. Okay, so let's get to the actual trade part. Ish Smith, KCP to Denver.
Like that for Denver.
You do?
I like KCP.
But Monty Morris was a big part. Now, started
KCP will start in Denver.
because of Jamal Murray.
Right. I was going to say, if Jamal Murray is,
he was so close to coming back.
I think he'll be fine to start. So, no, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope off the bench. He's I wouldn't call him an outside shooting threat, but he can hit the 3 ball. He's really known for his defense.
It feels like let's go the last 2 years, the better players, though, have been Will Barton and Monte Morris over Ish Smith and KCP.
Yeah, I like Will Barton. I don't know. KCP's been pretty good.
I feel like this is doing something for Denver's. Denver freeing up. Well, salaries have got to be close.
Yeah.
Denver's up to something.
They always are.
Denver's up to something here.
Well, you got to imagine. I'm wondering if they're going to extend Michael Porter Jr.
Maybe. I mean, that's a tough one based on his back.
He's restrictive, right?
I think you almost have to just because you don't want to lose out on your guy. But Denver's still in a championship caliber mindset and window.
Sure.
I mean, you got a 2-time reigning MVP with a young stud point guard coming back. I just feel like talent for talent, they lost in this.
Okay, but then what is Washington doing?
I don't know either. I'm trying to understand this trade.
I asked that so many times, I think, over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I
Porter's already been extended, by the way.
Porter's been extended. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought he had.
They're-
So Murray, Jokic, Porter, your core's there. It's intact.
Yeah, their top 4 paid players. Jokic's going to make 33 this year. Murray 31, Porter 29, Gordon 19.6, and then it's Will Barton who is expiring. So he's at 14.3. They moved him, and Morris was their next highest. So they've created some, well, I say created some money, but obviously they're getting some back in Ish Smith and
Well, they've opened up, I think, more long-term cap space. It
Yes.
sounds like they didn't want to re-sign Barton or Morris because, again, that would have inflated the cap eventually.
yeah, Jokic hasn't jumped up into his gargantuan deal yet, but that's coming.
Man.
So interesting. That's another deal that
Again, but what is Washington doing?
yeah, I'm trying to like you said.
Again, for
we asked
3
that a
years
lot.
now, Tommy Shepard has been there. I think he's been there 3 years. Their GM. It's the constant, the Bradley Beal thing, which it sounds like he wants to stay, which is still just dumbfounding to me. I've never understood that. I mean, he must have a lot of love for that city because that franchise sucks.
Yeah, and they tried Westbrook in there.
John Wall for
yeah.
years. Remember, it was the John Wall, Otto Porter, Bradley Beal
Yeah.
trio.
And
that
then
never worked.
The curious one last year to get Porzingis.
Yep. Are they looking
after the
at
Harrell and KCP, Kuzma?
Are they realistically thinking that a core of Beal and Porzingis is something to write home about? Beal, I get.
Yeah.
Porzingis, I think, he'll never get back to what he was those first few years in New York.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know what Washington does.
I'm blanking on who they drafted.
And I'm saying that as a Kings fan. I don't get the Wizards.
I don't either.
And they're always drafting. They're Kings-esque in this way, where they're always drafting
they drafted
lottery.
Johnny Davis.
They drafted Johnny Davis to play point guard, but then
or shooting guard even too.
Yeah.
Like he's more of a. I thought he was a shooting guard, which is curious. Your best player is a shooting guard, but maybe to play some point.
So again, and then you have Rui.
And now Barton and Morris.
You still have who's the kid they drafted a couple years ago? Debbie.
Kispert?
No, you have Kispert
Avdija.
too, but Avdija is still there. I don't know.
Kuzma. Yeah, I'm not.
What a just a hosh posh
Yeah.
of just guys.
So that's the word from Woj. Any other deals we will let you know. Yesterday was also, or by today, like the calendar year of the NBA this last season is going to be wrapping up. People have to make decisions. And not a surprise, Russell Westbrook, easy for me to say, opts into the Lakers. 1-year deal remaining, 47.1, and it got him singing.
You won't break my soul. 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 I'm telling everybody, 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 everybody.
More like Russ-Yance Westbrook.
Yeah. Of course he was going to sign in, right? At 47-1?
And wouldn't you be singing after opting into $47.1 million when, you kind of stunk last year?
Well,
I'd be excited too.
This is the problem with Russell Westbrook at one time was a guy that I think he had a 4 to 5 year window where he was insanely good.
The former MVP in that time.
Triple doubles, multiple years.
He made averaging a triple double normal.
Yeah, where I was like, he did it. He already did that. We don't care.
Again.
Like, how do you not care? He's done it 3 straight years. But that's one where you go, okay, Westbrook to the Lakers with LeBron and AD. Just hearing it, you go, talent everywhere. It was not a fit.
Well, and that was the argument that, a lot of the talking heads, the pundits, the national media, who we all love here in Sacramento so much, that was their argument. It's like, it doesn't matter about fit.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
When you have that level of talent, those type of stars, you make it work. Russ wasn't that guy anymore. He showed signs late in the year in Washington the year prior. Let's face it, he helped get them into the postseason.
2 years ago, yeah.
Dude is not that guy anymore. It's the explosiveness is not the same. The ball handling, it's just his decision making is so questionable, from passing to guys in the stands more so than his own teammates, to just the mid-range shots that he bricks. Jason, these aren't
exactly.
They don't
Westbrook
go in and out.
Became a thing, and it was apropos.
He shatters backboards when he shoots.
And to me, he's always been. But last year, to truly get probably a net gain from him, Jay, he had to be super high volume guy.
Yes.
And when he's super high volume, you're getting more of the bricks, more of the bad decisions, more of the what are you doing? But you'll get some moments. You will.
Sure.
But okay, the more high volume he becomes, the less Anthony Davis has the ball, which the three didn't play that much. But more importantly, the less LeBron has the ball. And that's just it. LeBron's not necessarily the most ball dominant guy, but he has to be involved in it.
Absolutely.
And I think Russ's superpower is being ball dominant. And when he's not as effective, it just rendered itself useless. It just wasn't going to work. And now for him to opt in, unless there's a buyout there or some trade that I don't see coming by anybody, they're going to have to run it back and see if they can figure it out.
Yeah, they basically, the Lakers have to hope that LeBron and AD can give them, both of them, 65-plus games. Just number one, if you're going to have any chance, that has to be a thing. Then third, with Russ, you just kind of have to hope that he learns how to fit in. And that's just...
He's never been a fit-in guy.
He's never been a fit guy. Everything has always been predicated on him. Either him and a second star or him being the second star, obviously in OKC for all those years with KD. Russell Westbrook isn't a star player anymore, and that's okay. But I don't think Russell Westbrook knows that, and that's the problem.
Right. So he opted in for his 1 year or remaining year, $47.1 million deal. James Harden's got a decision coming up where there's some talk that it would behoove him and the team for him to take the quote-unquote haircut.
Sure.
Now we're talking like 40-something million down to like 36 to help maybe open a door for a guy like PJ Tucker. Again, what's 11 million is a lot of money. So when people are like, oh, they make so much, why wouldn't you do that to help your team? Not everybody does that. Here's a case where Westbrook didn't take any deal. Others haven't taken deals necessarily. Kyrie didn't get the full max extension that he was hoping for. Some other moves yesterday, a guy that I put on the Kings' radar that I like, Jay, was Taurean Prince. Well, he's going to stay with the T-Wolves 2 years, $16 million. That's a nice, affordable $8 million for a rotation guy.
There was a time wasn't it when he was in Atlanta? Or no, was it when he was in Atlanta or Brooklyn that we really thought Taurean Prince was going to be a guy? That just hasn't worked out that way, but that's fine for the Minnesota. He's a fine role player.
And the Zubats from the Clippers got a new deal, 3 years, $33 million. I wonder if they looked at like Rashawn Holmes' deal with the Kings. It's roughly in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's like good player, important to the Clippers, help them out. Let's reward him, but not an absurd. Like the centers haven't been getting, unless you're Jokic and Embiid, getting that kind of money. I know a couple weeks ago we had a way too early prediction for NBA champion, and in the finals I put the Clippers in there with the Bucks. I really like the Clippers roster. I did last year.
Yeah.
Now they're allegedly healthy. Yeah, John Wall, but that's just another talented body. It's really about Kawhi and Paul George with the other pieces. I think that's a good team.
Yeah, and I think John Wall's the type of guy who's not going to go in there and think he's John Wall of 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think John Wall will fit in fine. Him and Paul George are super tight, so I don't imagine a fit being an issue there. But I'm like you. I really like the Clippers roster, too. I think Zubats, you go back to that trade the Clippers made with the Lakers when Magic Johnson got on national TV and laughed at the idea that the Lakers got hustled by the Clippers, for Zubats.
Mm-hmm.
No, they did.
Yeah.
Zubats is a solid player. Yeah, Clippers roster, if healthy, which is a big if.
Right.
That's going to be nice.
Doesn't have a lot of flaws, right? They definitely can shoot the three. I think they defend. They're long. They're athletic. They're switchable everywhere. They can play bigger with Zubats. I think it's a good team. Now, again, that's today. A lot of things can change here. All right, more to come here on Sacktown Sports 1140. Last season, the Kings added a few new pieces at the trade deadline. What is the future for those new Kings? One we know a little bit more about. Trey Lyles will return. We'll have that and more coming up.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Text or call the show at 916-339-1140.
On Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Trey Lyles, transition 3. This game is tied for the third time. 55-55. Trey Lyles coming to life here for Sacramento. He has 13 points. 10 of the 13 have come in this second quarter.
Yeah, Trey Lyles was a part of a trade deadline deal.
A monumental trade.
Yes. Officially, it was what? Bagley and...
Was it a second rounder?
I believe so. And a 3-teamer that Detroit and Milwaukee were involved. DiVincenzo came here. So did Trey Lyles and Josh Jackson.
What went to Milwaukee in that deal?
What did go to Milwaukee? Did Detroit send something else over there?
Because the Kings didn't send anything. Huh.
Yeah, what else?
You were supposed to know that.
I was supposed to know that.
We talked about that pre-show, that you would break down that trade again. All parts, picks, players, you name it. And here you are failing.
I'm coming up with it.
Great job.
I'm saving it. Let's see. Marvin Bagley trade. How did this happen? What happened? Who went where? Okay, the Kings. Let's see. Here we go. The Kings will acquire Dante DiVincenzo for Marvin Bagley to the Pistons. Well, this is reported in a funny way. Okay, here we go. Oh, there was a fourth team. That's right. Okay, the Kings received DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, Trey Lyles. Pistons got Bagley. The Bucks got Serge Ibaka from LA and 2 second-round picks plus cash. The Clippers received Rodney Hood from Milwaukee, Semi Ojeleye from Milwaukee.
There you go.
Okay. And here in the...
Glad everyone's caught up on that.
The moment it happened, you care for grades. They graded every team. The worst grade went to Detroit. They got a B-. The Clippers got a B+. Milwaukee got a B. Sacramento, an A+.
Look at us. Look at us winning
that trade.
Winning trade
on that
grades prior to people playing.
Yeah.
Killing it. Yay us.
We tried to do this with the draft here and just, find out what a Monty guy is, right? And I think we kind of established it's quality human being, talented player, chip on the shoulder, but not like ego chip, if that makes sense. Like, I'm the greatest of all time. It's like, no, I was not drafted high enough, or I wasn't not enough recruiting, whatever. There's a chip on these guys.
He likes guys that he doesn't have to motivate.
Right. And then seemingly hard workers. I think we all have said high floor guys, maybe not the highest, at least the perception.
Sure.
So that's what he's kind of drafted. I think when you trade or you go free agency, you try to get fit. So if we go to the 2 trade deadlines, what was it 2 years ago? It was Bielitsa got dealt, and that was like in a Chris Silva.
So he dealt Bielitsa to Miami for Silva and Harkless.
And then Kojo.
Kojo went for DeLon Wright, and then they acquired
Terrence Davis in another
Terrence
deal.
Davis. I think that was just for second rounders, right?
I think so. And so last offseason, you had decisions on a couple of guys. They re-signed Harkless. They re-signed Terrence Davis. Silva walked. They just moved on from Silva.
Silva even appeared in a game for the Kings. I don't think
he did, but it was very, very minimal. So then this offseason, or this trade deadline, we just mentioned you get DiVincenzo, who I think by all accounts they're interested in keeping.
I think they re-signed Dante DiVincenzo.
I think they were he's been too coveted to not want to keep. Now he could get away, but I think they want to keep him.
He's restricted unless someone gives him an absurd amount of money, which they won't. Monty's been trying to acquire him for 2 years. You don't just get off a guy like that, especially when you have his rights.
And I feel like in the draft, he was that guy too. Like came from a winning program.
Yes.
Good player.
Won a national title.
He did. It was the most outstanding player in the tournament too. So, but kind of a little bit of a chip guy, a little bit of an edge to him, not like crazy edge, but so I think they want to keep him. They obviously have expressed they now are going to keep Trey Lyles.
Yeah,
Looks
Trey
like
Lyles.
He's coming back on a 2.6. And then I don't think they'll keep Josh Jackson.
No, Josh Jackson actually.
He's a free agent.
Of the 3 guys that came over, he was the one I was most intrigued by.
Because?
Just because of what we thought he was going to be coming out of college. As a number 4 overall pick. Dude can play defense when he's engaged. Offense can, hit or miss.
Yeah,
a lot of
but
miss.
wing defense is what the team needed.
Sure.
And I thought, okay, of all of them, and it ended up by the end, he kind of played the least.
Yeah, that was the surprise to me. I thought because of the need and that the Kings they were out of the postseason contention for a while. I thought they'd give him to run to see if they had anything there, and they really didn't.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at it, Jackson, obviously, I think is gone. Lyles has opted in. I think Dante is here. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Dante's your starting 2 next year.
Yeah.
Not calling it. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked. And then that leaves us with Domas, who's obviously here, Holiday, and Jeremy Lamb.
And Lamb.
Lamb's a free agent.
Yes.
I don't see them bringing Jeremy Lamb back.
I don't think so either.
Had a couple nice scoring games, but
yeah.
Jeremy Lamb, often injured, has a good offensive game, doesn't play defense much at all. Can't see him coming back. Justin Holiday has 1 year left on his deal.
He was the other guy, obviously came over in the Sabonis deal.
He will either one of two scenarios is going to play out here. And it's very Captain Obvious, but hear me out. Either he'll play the full year in Sacramento and highly unlikely re-sign the following offseason. I think he'll be a part of some sort of trade. He's got an expiring deal. You need money to make figures work, especially with certain guys the Kings are rumored to be after, which we'll address next segment. I think Justin Holiday ends up being part of a trade package. I
could see it. I'm trying to figure out of the guys that came over. Now, Holiday ended up playing a lot, ended up starting quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there were I would say underperformed. I would say.
Yeah, underperformed, or I mean, he kind of performed to what I thought Justin Holiday was going to perform
Really?
to. I've never really thought Justin Holiday was great. He's fine to have on a roster, but he's not a starting shooting guard in the NBA.
So his best year, Chicago, started all 72 games, 12 points a game. Like
that's what I mean.
Where here he was at 8-3, and it doesn't seem like that's when you're under 10 as a starter.
That's what I mean. And
you're getting some 4s and some 2s, some 0s maybe.
Yeah. And
a 15, a 17. He had a 20-something, but that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. And I think just career arc, he's better than. I guess you're right. To his point, his career is 8-7. He averaged 8-3, so it's not like substantially better. I think you're right. If they signed DiVincenzo, probably plug and play him at the 2. Fox, DiVincenzo, as of now, Barnes, Murray, Sabonis is your starter. Key players, certainly Davion.
Well, and you got to imagine. I mean, it's hard to say. At this point, would you slot Terrence Davis ahead of Holiday in the rotation?
Holiday's pluses are length. I think he's better defensively. Terrence Davis is a better shooter. Definitely more consistent. I know he's erratic, but he's more consistent than Holiday.
He's more athletic too.
Yeah.
And I'd say Justin Holiday is a better defender right now simply based upon his length, but I think Terrence Davis with the energy, I think Terrence Davis has potential to be a better defender than Holiday.
Yeah, and not that this is a game changer, but if your 4 guards that you primarily play are Fox, DiVincenzo, Mitchell, Davis, you're pretty small.
Well, you're pretty small, but you have to hope Davion is taking a leap, number one.
Yeah, and I believe he will, and he guards a lot of different positions.
He does, and if Davion takes that leap, I think that will help counterbalance how small they are in the backcourt. Again, and we're going to get to a Kings rumor here in the next segment, but the way the Kings can really help out that backcourt, which to your point is small, they got to get more length on the wing, man. Mm-hmm. If they can get length on the wing, that really helps out that backcourt a lot. I think that's been the biggest issue with this team for years now is you can run a small backcourt, but you have to have length at the wing, and they just never have.
Yeah. Now, as far as Lyles go, you envision him.
He's a backup.
In the rotation somewhere as a backup because
he can be, to me, he's your backup stretch 4. If he's playing 15 minutes a night, that's kind of a sweet spot for him, I feel like, just to contribute. He can stretch. He can finish at the hoop. He can rebound, but he's not a guy that should be playing 30-plus minutes.
I mean, the front court minutes are going to be dominated by Sabonis. I got to believe Murray. They're going to give him a lot of minutes, I think.
Oh, yeah, no. You didn't draft him at 4 to play 10 to 15 minutes a game. Keegan Murray is going to be a rotation player.
You know who still is signed and we always forget about is Alex Len. He's here.
Yeah, but
now,
you also have Rashawn Holmes and potentially Damian Jones.
Yeah, you haven't signed Damian Jones. I feel like you've got to decide on Holmes. Like I'm totally in either camp because I feel like there's a great argument to be made. Like Rashawn Holmes got in the league because he was a fantastic backup.
Right.
He could be a fantastic backup here. he was a good starter here, though.
The Kings brought him in to be a backup.
Yes.
I think people forget that.
And he kind of overachieved. He leapt right over that. It was a quality starter.
It was a combination of he overachieved and Dwayne Dedmon was just
fell
so
off the map.
bad.
And I don't know where Rashawn is, if he's accepting of that or if he also sees, like, I want to. And human nature tells me he wants to start and play a bunch of minutes. So I don't know if you can find a team willing to, and I think there are teams willing to trade for him.
Sure.
I think that's got to be on their agenda. Or you just lock in and say, you are our backup, and we're going to get the most we can out of you, Rashawn.
I feel like Rashawn will be fine playing backup minutes.
Yeah.
I think
he had a lot of other stuff going on.
And a lot of people equated the Sabonis trade to him falling off production-wise. I'm with you. He was hurt. There was personal stuff.
Emotionally hurt with his son's situation.
Yeah, could never get any consistency because of all of that. He was at Mike Brown's presser. Clearly, he expects to be here if he's shown up at the head coach's press conference. And he knows he's not the starting center next to Sabonis. So I think he's accepting. And if he's accepting of coming off the bench, and my only concern is I think Rashawn's game is best played with a playmaking point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And Davion hasn't shown that yet, that he's a true playmaker. So I don't know how that will affect Rashawn. But, yeah, Rashawn is kind of a question mark.
Yeah, and I know they didn't do it much, and it didn't look good when they did. Sabonis and Holmes didn't really
you can't do that.
clash. But an off season gives you a chance to see it more when we're not looking at it. If it's not there, you don't force that. But if they see something or have found, no, we know how to do it, then that'd be great. But I just, as of now, what we've seen, it didn't work last year. All right, now, the Kings. And rumors, they're still out there, and so is John Collins. He's like the bad penny. He won't go away. Is he going to be a King? Will he not? Is it a possibility? We'll discuss that next.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show.
He's on the microphone when he's not on the microphone. He's playing a song, and when he's not playing a song, he's on the microphone, and then boom!
With Jason Ross.
Jay! Hey, my headset's
Text or call the show at 916-339-1140.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross
On Sacktown Sports 1140.
First 2 hours flew by. One more to go here. A's baseball. A's and Yankees right after us, basically, as they're going to get going from New York to close that series.
9:05 coverage starts.
How about that? It's Roxy Bernstein has been in for Ken Korak and Vince Cotroneo. A's and Yankees coming up. Carmichael Davis back with us tomorrow. Jason Ross, Jay Mars.
By the way, did his mom and dad name him Roxy?
That's not short for anything, is it?
I don't know.
I think it's Roxy.
Because, I mean, you know, females, it's Roxanne.
Yeah.
Is there a male, longer version of Roxy?
Rocks and roll?
You got it.
Yeah. We will be out at the NBA Summer League coming up. Kings will be first at the California Classic. I miss it that it's not in Sacramento anymore. That's the way, by the way, people are like, why is it not in Sacramento? When it was originally pitched, the California Classic, think about the name, had the Kings, the Lakers, the Warriors. The Clippers were supposed to be involved. Clippers opted out. Miami wanted in, of all things, randomly. They come out here, and it was on their way basically to Vegas.
Closest thing to a California city, right? Miami.
Yes. And then it was going to be in Sacramento, Los Angeles, Oakland at the time, and just kind of rotate, or the Clippers and Lakers could split it too. And then it just out of circumstance, I think the Kings had it, the first 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
And now the Warriors are finally going to be the host team.
You heading down?
I will probably for one of the games because I know some of it's like usual over the 4th of July. It's a lot easier when it was right here.
Yeah, I might actually head down for a game just because I haven't been to the Chase Center yet.
I haven't either.
I kind of want to check it out, and I want to check it out for an affordable cost.
Yes, and that's the thing too. It's it's still the NBA basketball. They're going to have last year. When I'm trying to confuse years, I know there was one year we didn't have the Classic because of COVID. Was that last year or the year before?
Who cares?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was last year because I don't think we saw.
No,
it was
we saw
Tyrese's
Davion.
year. We didn't see Tyrese play.
I saw Davion last year.
Yeah. And because they had
I
Moody
think
and
you gave me
Kuminga.
tickets.
So this year, though, what we can tell you is we will be in Summer League in Vegas as we're going to be out there. We'll have 3 shows this show. Carmichael Dave Show with me. Jason Ross will be out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the 11th, 12th, and 13th. We expect to have a lot of Kings guests. That's the best part about Vegas and Summer League is everybody's just roaming around.
Yeah, you can I've always been told it's like NBA Thanksgiving in the sense of you can just be walking around, walking to your room, and there's
there's Danny Ainge.
Yeah, a legend or a front office exec.
And then there's some random people too, like, hey, why is Ezekiel Elliott here or whatever. Like, just sometimes you'll see like a football player around. You're like, okay, well, they like basketball too.
It's just a gathering, right?
It is. And you're like, hey, that exec's in shorts. Hey, I never thought I'd see Pat Riley wearing shorts.
Danny Ainge, great knees on that guy, huh?
Exactly. So it's a fun time, but it's all brought to you by our coverage here at Sacktown Sports 1140, brought to you by Power Business Technology. Find them online at powercopiers.com. So that'll be coming up soon.
It's also a place where a lot of front offices get together to discuss trades,
free agency. The Kings have done that too. They've brought out their free agents before in Vegas, but trades, the one trade that is still out there, still not put to bed. We thought maybe it would after the draft, but I know our own Carmichael Dave was talking about this on Twitter and kind of reporting that no, this is still a thing. The Kings are still in discussions about John Collins. I'm going to go back to kind of the way this started on all our fronts. I know you're probably more pro John Collins than I am, but what I did like hearing, Jay, was when the rumor was out there again, it started to be talked about, and Sam was talking about this, that no, it's not involving the 4th pick. I said, well, I'm more interested in that. I mean, you always want more talent, and John Collins is talented. I don't want anybody to misconstrue that. But I'm thinking fit, thinking contract. I've seen numbers reduce a little bit for him in Atlanta, maybe some health things. So I can find some concerns. I know what the draw would be. So you kind of you try to sell me on why a John Collins move would make sense.
Well, because you can probably get him for not much, and here's why.
What's not much to you?
Not much to me is like Harrison Barnes and probably a protected first. To me, that is That is such
That's a win for the Kings?
That's a huge win for the Kings,
Really?
if you ask me. I don't see Harrison staying here long term.
Okay, that's fine. But who's your 3?
Your
Starting
3's
3.
Keegan Murray, right?
Okay.
And
Who
that's
at this moment is unknown, but you draft him for a reason to think he's going to be a dude.
and everything that we've read says he can play the 3 or the 4.
Yes, I believe
So
that.
if you have him playing the 3 at, is he 6'9"?
Yeah, something
6'8",
like that.
6'9",
Yeah.
and then you have a 6'9" John Collins who has a long wingspan,
So suddenly a
super
shorter
athletic.
team is big.
You're bigger, which that, again, solves some of your backcourt issues with how small they are. But John Collins does have concerns. Again, to me, the number one concern with John Collins is just staying healthy. He has had health issues. That's well documented. But when he's been on the floor and been considered a focal point of the Atlanta offense, you go back to just 2 years ago. Dude averaged, I think, 20 and 11 on 40% from the 3. He is a lob threat. He's super athletic. Domas can find him the ball. De'Aaron can find him the ball in the pick and roll. He can also stretch the floor.
That he can
And
do.
I feel like if you have Sabonis at your 5, you need a 4 that can stretch. And John Collins has potential, man, to be a all-star caliber player in this league. And you get him on a 4-year contract, and he's young.
Well, I like the age. I'm a little concerned about the contract. I don't think it's absurd, but I don't know that I love it. I'm trying to really map out in my mind if the Kings are better with that group than they are with Harrison Barnes.
I think they are.
So it's Sabonis, Murray, Barnes, let's say DiVincenzo, Fox versus that same group. Take out Barnes, put in Murray at the 3, Collins at the 4. I'm not with certainty that they are.
I like Harrison more of the person than the player.
Okay.
I love Harrison Barnes as a person. I think he's been great for the organization. He's
Absolutely.
been great for the community. He's a solid basketball player. We've said this before. Ideally, Harrison Barnes, if he's on your team, is your 4th or 5th best option. John Collins realistically has the potential to be your 2nd best option on offense. Realistic, he does. He has the potential. I'm not saying he would be, but even he's your 3rd best option. That's already an upgrade to me. And Harrison just has those spells where he disappears. He really does. He has those, and I think that's always been kind of the knock on Harrison. You see that he's a talented player.
Well, would he be the 4th option if everything goes right this year? You're assuming monster stuff from Sabonis. You're assuming 20 plus from Fox. If Murray, that's an if, huge if.
That's just it, though.
Right. But I'm not asking for 20, but what if he's a 15 a game? That's pretty good. And now is Harrison your 4th guy? Now, there's some nights where Harrison might score 30 and is your leading scorer.
Sure.
But there's also the night where he floats and you're like, wow, he had 8 and on 3 of 6 shooting. You're like, he had 8 points tonight.
Or is it better to bring in a guy like Collins, who, let's say he's your 3rd best scorer. This is your 3rd best player on offense, but he's consistent about it. And then Keegan's your 4th best. I think that's a better option. I don't want to force Keegan into feeling like he has to be the 3rd best player on this team.
You want
right
it to
away.
naturally happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best. And I think they're in a better position. Like if in past years where the Kings, I mean, again, look, we're talking about 16 years of futility, but there's been some years, and you guys could understand this and relate to it, where they've legitimately been awful. And that 4th pick, Keegan Murray, would have to come in here and score basically like 20 plus, win the Rookie of the Year, and you are definitely the franchise guy. Now they want all of those things. But no, this is on Fox. This is on Sabonis right now. You don't have to do the heavy lifting. You are going to be a contributor to this group.
Here's what you should want Keegan Murray to feel like. And again, you want him to perform above this. But as a rookie, we're going to start you, come in, play solid defense, get rebounds, and hit open buckets when guys like De'Aaron and Sabonis find you. You're going to get, max 10 shots a game. But if you're shooting 50% and of those 10 shots, 5 are threes, and you're hitting 2, and you're rebounding and playing defense, I mean, I feel like he's your 4th best guy. That's perfect.
This is a really interesting one because I don't know that I don't see it being clear cut. You're way more in favor of the 1 option.
Yes, for sure.
And you'd have to give up a 1st?
If it's a protected 1st, you're going to eventually, and we've talked about this at length, the Kings are going to have to give up draft capital at some point to get better. Now. They have to. And I know Monty McNair is saying that there's no, mandatory playoff appearance next year. I don't buy that. I don't buy that the words mandatory are being thrown out there.
Said, but the goal is to make it. It's obvious.
My point is this. If they don't make the postseason next year, I don't think he's here. which I don't think is fair to him, by the way.
I agree with that. I think he should have been extended already.
I do too, but I still think that'll be the result. So there is definitely a win now mentality going forward. It's very obvious.
What's your best read on, like, if we look at Harrison Barnes rumors? Remember, maybe trade deadline last year or a little before
2
that.
2
years ago, it was like Romeo Langford and something else from Boston. I'm like, yeah. Which at this point, I feel like Barnes, it's gone up. It's gone up for him. What more you could get? You think you could get more for him now in a full season with a team, or desperate time at trade deadline? Like you ride it and see, and can you get more for him? I mean, John Collins would be a lot for Harrison Barnes, but can you get more for him in February?
I don't think so. You're banking on him having a career year at that point.
Or just the fact that he's expiring and he's a proven vet. Like all the qualities that people like of Harrison can be there and still in place. Character, quality, proven, pro, all that, and expiring.
I want to go back to a point you just made, though. Do you think right now there is a better player than John Collins that a Harrison Barnes package could net you? That's available.
I guess it would be the other parts of the package would net that, right?
Let's say Harrison Barnes is the lead player, but you can also put in filler, around him to get to a higher salary player plus your draft picks. Like, who is that guy?
I don't have the answer off the top of my head. I don't know.
Like, if Bradley Beal were available in Washington, I'm picking up the phone. It won't take more. It'd take Barnes. It'd probably take something like Barnes, Holmes, and like multiple firsts to even get Washington to pick up the phone.
Spurs are sticking to what they're saying, it's going to take 3 to 4 first-round picks to get DeJounte Murray.
And by the way, if they do, and they, Atlanta's, rumored to want DeJounte Murray, if they acquire him, they almost have to trade John Collins.
Right.
Because you have Herter's extension kicking in, Trae Young's extension kicks in. You're going to have to extend DeAndre Hunter at some point. Like, they're just going to run out of money.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, as much as we're talking about this from the Sacramento perspective, and that's what we're going to do, I think once you put his name out there, I just feel like Atlanta could get, like, if you could get DeJounte Murray, I'm going after him. As opposed to Harrison Barnes.
Well, that's why I asked you guys the other day, do you think he could fit next to Fox?
DeJounte Murray? Yes.
If you believe that,
but I don't think the Kings can get him. I'm talking about Atlanta. Like, I'm looking at a bigger price or piece because they were again in the conference finals 2 years ago. Last season.
But if you're the Spurs and the Kings offered you, because I think you could get DeJounte Murray, if you really buy into the idea that he can play next to Fox, he's an all-star. He's a former All-NBA defender. I think the Spurs say yes to, hey, we'll give you Harrison Barnes, 3 firsts and 2 swaps. And there you go. Then you're just banking on Fox, Murray, and Sabonis. Like, this is our core moving forward.
That would scare me. I mean, I think there's no doubt that he's talented, but you just say Murray, Fox, Sabonis, and you got to keep Sabonis, by the way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't and you lose him, like, you've killed
I'll tell you this.
years of this team.
If Murray and Fox were to fit next to each other, you're going to have no problem keeping Domas because the Kings are a playoff team. If those two pieces fit next to it, and that's just such a big if.
Yeah.
So
it's a killer if.
But again, do the Kings have the assets to acquire him? Yeah, they do.
Well, another big move for the Kings this offseason was a coach. They got one in Mike Brown, but everyone else, for the most part, on that coaching list now is a coach in the league. We're going to be doing a lot of unfair comparisons all season long. We'll discuss that. What the Jazz have done, that's coming up.
shot right now.
Call or text at 916-339-1140.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sacktown Sports 1140.
You know, labels in life, reputations, some of them are valid and warranted, but it sways how you think of things. And here's my point on this, Jay, where yesterday, Woj reports, and it looks like it's all going to be finalized soon, about the Utah Jazz. They were one of the teams looking for a new head coach, and likely they're going to land here on 34-year-old Will Hardy, who was looked at and coveted by the Kings, coveted by the Lakers apparently too, a few other teams. But like when Danny Ainge is involved, I'm like, yeah, he probably found a gem, didn't he?
Yeah, and obviously Will Hardy on the Ime Udoka staff in Boston. Danny Ainge has a few ties there. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Yes, he came up through Pop, was a video coordinator, another one from the coaching tree. But you just go, huh? You know, when the Kings do things sometimes like nobody else would have done that. They wouldn't have signed any other coach. Well, this is going to be an interesting offseason for Kings fans. You want more torture? We're going to get it. Because right or wrong, I know people are going to do it. Heck, I'll be guilty of doing it too.
Sure.
Steve Clifford was a guy the Kings were interested in, was in the original 7 list, pared down to the final 3 list. We didn't really talk about him because this happened, I think, on Friday. Like, there was the weird Kenny Atkinson backing out. And then, oh, by the way, they brought back Steve Clifford. Like, what? How did this happen?
I think the big thing why we didn't really get to it is Steve Clifford was part of that last 3, but it moved so quickly into it's Mark Jackson or Mike Brown
final 2.
that it was like, all right.
I guess he's out.
But Steve Clifford's been a solid coach in the NBA, you know, got Charlotte to the playoffs,
Yes.
got Orlando to the playoffs. Like, I think that's actually, if you're not getting Atkinson and Charlotte, bringing back Steve Clifford is fine.
Yeah, and then I could tell he read the room because every quote that he had coming out of this is like, we're going to play fast. So I don't know if, 1, he was accused of not doing that. 2, they were going to have D'Antoni, Atkinson with this, you know, Ball, Rozier, like, go. Like, you got some young talent, like play, like, go fast. So he's following that, but that was a Kings candidate. So naturally we'll go, oh, look what the Hornets are doing. Again, different roster, different league.
Kings don't have LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges.
Right. Darvin Ham, Kings very interested in him. Brought him in. He was a hot name in Milwaukee. I think the Kings thought highly of him. Ultimately, they kind of leaned to more of the veteran coaches. He lands with the Lakers. Again, they don't have LeBron. They don't have AD. Thankfully, they don't have Westbrook. Different coach, different style, different. I wish the best for him. Well, not really because he's the Lakers, but
yeah, I don't wish the best for him.
I have no ill feelings towards him. But it's a different guy. I hope we don't do these comparisons. Look what Will Hardy's doing for the Jazz. They're 6-0. We could have had him.
You have a Twitter account, right?
I do.
You'll see it.
I read. I don't post that much.
Yeah,
I read it all. I do see it all.
I'll tell you this: you'd probably be more mentally healthy if you posted and less reading.
That's probably true. That is probably true. But you know what? I have the ability to ignore. But I see
for sure.
it. I'm like, I can also verbalize and go, what are you talking about, as opposed to tweeting that out. What are you talking about?
It's, if you're comparing the head coaches and their successes to what Mike Brown does, it's just, in Charlotte, I guess there is the franchise. Charlotte to me is way further ahead than the Kings are.
Right.
But like not super to the point where you can make some.
But they have the second longest drought, by the way.
They do.
Yeah.
And you can make some general comparisons because of that there. But if you're comparing what Mike Brown does in Sacramento to what Darvin Ham does in LA or what Will Hardy does in Utah, given that we're expecting Utah to still look to compete, obviously, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah, and the only way to ever do that with a player, with a coach, fairly, which is impossible, by the way, what I'm suggesting, is to clone the second team, second player. Like Luke Walton. Oh, we could have had Monty Williams. Yes. Would Monty Williams have been the same coach with the Kings? I don't think he'd have the same success as he did in Phoenix. Maybe he got more out of the Kings. Maybe.
He would have gotten more out of the Kings, maybe, to your point. But
what's more? Is that making the playoffs?
The Kings are not in the NBA Finals 2 seasons ago. If Monty Williams is here, come on.
They don't have Devin Booker. Now, I like Monty. I think he's a good coach. I can tell you, I was with people in New Orleans that were tired of him at the end because they didn't win enough. Now, he was good there. They didn't win enough.
You know why? Because Phoenix's roster is better.
Yes. Yes. So, grade Mike Brown on Mike Brown here. He's not an assistant with the Warriors. He's not the head coach of the Lakers or the Cavs. He's our coach now. And, yeah, he could be critiqued. That's all fair. Question timeouts, rotations, everyone's favorite. It's going to be this. My early prediction, Jay, on the first, second, third loss of the year, whenever they come. Player 8, 9, 10, who you think is 6, 7, or 8 or whatever, that didn't play. You know why they didn't play Chimezie Metu enough? They didn't play Trey Lyles enough.
I was going to use those same two names.
Yeah, they're not, why didn't they're playing the rookie too much.
Yep.
I don't understand the rotation here. That is the most common thing, and I'm guilty of that too.
But the rotation thing is because it's the easiest thing to pick apart, right? It's easy to say when team X is losing, we'll just play player Y more.
And that's the easy resolution. Like it's because this person didn't play is why they lost, as opposed to the 8 to 9 that played 25 to 40 minutes.
It used to kill me because that was Luke Walton's second year when it was Tyrese's rookie year. When they in Monty's first year as GM, they had nobody. I mean, you had like legit maybe 6 rotation NBA players, and people are killing him on his rotations. I'm like, well, who is he supposed to play? And that's when you started getting into the Robert Woodard discussion and. God,
get more run for Kyle Guy.
Get DeQuan Jeffries 30 minutes a game. Like, what?
Leonard Robinson II is a small version of the big dog.
Right. It was just insane. It was like, it's the rotations. Like, no, it's the talent.
And so let them be their coaches. But again, I'm not saying they're off limits. We'll do it. We'll question things. But it's a funny thing. And now Will Hardy at 34, he comes into a spot too. Now you go to what you have, right? I mean, Kings were not a playoff team. Lakers were not a playoff team. Charlotte, close to one. I mean, they were basically in the play-in, but they were not a playoff team. Jazz, I predicted last year to win the whole thing. Like, I thought they had that, just enough people. They've been around. They've been through the bumps. They underachieved completely.
You were having a lot of conversations with David Locke, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was locked on the Jazz.
David Locke, noted Jazz broadcaster and homer.
Yes. But they're also in a different spot. And I got to believe if you're Will Hardy, yes, you're 34. You're probably taking any job you're officially given or offered. But
this is a good one.
A great one. And you got to know, like, we're keeping Mitchell here. Like, are we good? Mm-hmm. We're going with Mitchell and Gobert. Like, let's go. Let's keep it forward. Here's my plan. I'm going to make Mitchell thrive. I'm going to get the best out of Gobert. I'm sure that's some of his selling points. Yeah, this team had a down year and a bad postseason, but I also think they're not that far from patching it and being right. But you're also, that's that pendulum. You get an injury or a bad thing, you're in the lottery. Mm-hmm. So you got to keep it pushing forward if you're the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and I find those discussions to be interesting because you hear all the rumors that they want to move off of Gobert, and it makes sense as to why. I think that team does need to freshen up a little bit, especially because I don't think you get rid of Donovan Mitchell. He's too young. But Gobert is like weirdly impossible to trade.
Yeah, I think every team says they would like a Gobert type. I don't think they want his contract.
No, they don't want his contract. And, well, what do you give up for Rudy Gobert? Because the one that made sense to me was, and I don't know if the numbers work out completely. I don't have the contracts in front of me. But, like, a swap sending him to Chicago for Vucevic, I think would make a lot of sense for both teams, although Vucevic kind of had a down year last year. I don't know. And that's just it. But I don't feel like that makes Utah better.
Right. And better offensively, but not better defensively. And I mean,
but how much better offensively?
Yeah, you're getting a great defensive player. But there's interesting things like the 2 years ago when the Clippers kind of exposed him with that ever-switching team, and they made him have to guard like Morris or Kennard or Terrence Mann, and he could. I mean, it kind of took his powers away, and then he doesn't kill you. Then you have to guard him. Well, he doesn't go down and score 30.
No, and you can't. It's so hard to run your offense with him there because, again, outside of a pick and roll lob threat, he can't really do anything outside of that and putbacks.
Yeah.
Utah. But I think Will Hardy was a good hire there. I think he'll be solid there. I think he'll be successful. Please do not compare Mike Brown and Will Hardy this year.
Right. Which we'll do, but please don't do it.
No, we won't do it.
One thing we want to do, and I think Jay had a great just catchphrase, what are the Wizards doing? We could probably add, what are the Knicks doing?
Yeah.
They're opening up money. They want to dole out a ton of money. We'll tell you for who, what the Knicks' plan is, and some other NBA rumors when we come back.
first.
The 94th most popular celebrity from Carmichael
How popular do you want to be?
meets a Celtics broadcasting legend.
Celtics are going to go for the win. Everybody here at Golden One Center on their feet.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Jason Ross, Jay Mars here. Final half hour here of the show. A's baseball, A's and Yankees coming up when we're done. Early baseball there in New York. Speaking of New York, they made some news yesterday.
The Knicks?
The Knicks. They have worked a deal with the Pistons where they're sending Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, 2 second-round picks, $6 million. Does that literally, like, they Venmo that?
You do.
How's that go?
But who do you Venmo, the ownership or the GM?
In return for nothing.
Nothing.
Just Pistons took that all on. But why New York did it? They're freeing up $30 million.
I think Detroit sent them a couple Little Caesars pizzas.
Oh, okay. Pizza. Name of the arena. Just start a pizza fight there in New York. But why the Knicks
And an
did
autograph
this?
Rick Mahorn flat.
They're freeing up $30 million. I like that. I like the premise I get.
Let's go be aggressive in free agency. Yeah.
And all signs, Jay, point to New York going all out for Jalen Brunson. Again.
Jalen. The Mavs, Jalen Brunson?
The Mavs, Jalen Brunson, who was a great player on an incredible contract. Now they're talking about close to a max in New York, maybe up to $30 million.
So,
what?
Folks, that would equal 4 years and 120. For Jalen Brunson, listen, Jalen
really
Brunson
weird.
was fantastic in the playoffs.
Yes.
Was really good second half of the season. What kills me about this, too, is he told Dallas
In season. Multiple times before the season and in season.
I will sign a extension worth up to $55 million, which to me, that's a good deal for Jalen Brunson.
That's a really good reward for helping out a team, paying him well.
It's a great deal for Dallas.
Especially because Dallas has expressed interest to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
And now they would have to pay a lot more. I think now New York's going to overshoot him and Dallas is going to go, we're not going to do that.
Overshoot? I don't even know how to describe that, dude. $120 million for Jalen Brunson. Listen, I know the ties there with the Knicks organization are strong. His dad, Rick, played for the Knicks and now is an assistant coach. Leon Rose was his first agent before taking over the Knicks. Again, I get it. Strong ties there. $120 million? I mean, that's what you pay guys that you think are going to be multi-time All-Stars.
Yes. He has not been one. Again, I believe in him. I like the chip. I like the edge. I like the way he plays. And maybe they think, I'm sure some of their thinking is this. Dallas, Luka is about the most dominant. I mean, he's incredible, but he's a ball-dominant player. Like, it's in his hands as it should be. I mean, he makes people better. And Jalen Brunson still got numbers with him doing that. And then certainly when he was out for a few of those playoff games, Jalen Brunson was incredible. So maybe they're going to get a really good version of him, and I don't doubt that. But, Jay, we heard year after year after year, the Knicks, we're going to get LeBron, we're going to get Wade, we're going to get Carmelo. Well, they had Carmelo. We're going to get, like, the top-notch free agents, and you clear space. Like, if you landed Jalen Brunson as a secondary free agent and you landed Zach LaVine.
Sure.
And you landed James
100.
Harden, whatever, pick your top free agents this summer, you're like, the Knicks are going for it.
Yes.
But this is your prize. And when you kind of re-sign Burks, you got no, like, you're moving off of guys you brought in to be the next guys.
Right.
And the Knicks are kind of doing it again.
Again, it doesn't matter who is running that front office, right? It's just the same wheel turning and turning again. If the Knicks were signing Brunson, kind of to your point to what Dallas was going to give him to an extension, 4 and 55, dude, that's a really good signing. 4 and 55, that's a great signing. 4 and 120, so now you're going to hamstring your cap, number one, because you just gave Julius Randle money, and that is already turning out to be a disaster. He clearly does not want to be there. And then you still got to pay RJ Barrett here pretty soon. He's going to be looking for a nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the majority of your cap tied into RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson.
Sounds like a lottery team to me.
Sounds like a lottery team that can
playoff team.
that can fight for the 8 seed.
That's not what New York's wanting to do. That's not what they're trying to. Well, and in the end, we're back to a situation where we're in a situation where you're having owners save themselves from themselves and or GMs save themselves from themselves. I didn't realize this because I thought it was going to be way less. So if he's at what you said, 120, that's 30?
4 and 120, that's 30 per.
There's a lot. I thought there was less than this, but there's now going to be, right now, I'll just do currently, there's 40 people in the league making $30 million. I didn't realize that. But I'll go through the list quickly because we'll go like all-star or have been.
Is this 30 plus?
Yeah, I'm going to go from 30 up. Gordon Hayward, all-star. Donovan Mitchell, all-star. De'Aaron Fox, not one. Bam, all-star. Tatum, all-star. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has not been an all-star.
But really does have, like, I would be surprised if he's not an all-star in the next 3 or 4 years.
D'Angelo jumped into that range. He's been an all-star. I feel like he's paid too much, but he's 31. Brandon Ingram's been an all-star. Jamal Murray has not. No, he's not.
No, but he has.
He's trended.
He's trended.
Yeah. Jokic, 31st highest paid player. Wow. But his time's coming. Has been an all-star. CJ McCollum is not.
CJ McCollum, though, has a resume of being a fringe all-star for a long time. And I do think, not last year, but the year before that, before he got hurt, he was trending all-star.
Andrew Wiggins, finally an all-star and a champion now. 28th highest paid player along with Joel Embiid. Wow. Drew Holiday has been an all-star, been a champion, and just been a great player. 24th, Kristaps Porzingis. He's not
Again,
been an all-star.
Yes, he has.
Porzingis
He's an all-star in New York.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, KP. Devin Booker, trending even higher. It's been an all-star. Karl Anthony Towns. Pascal Siakam, one-time all-star, maybe two, one?
One.
Ben Simmons. Bradley Beal. Kemba Walker. That's to 20. Now we're getting inside the top 20. And this is now going to be north of 36-6. Luka Doncic. Trae Young. They make the same. Kyrie Irving. Tobias Harris has not been an all-star. I think that's the worst contract so far on the list.
That contract might be worse than Jalen Brunson getting 4 and 120, I'm going to be honest.
Because he's at 37-6 and then 39-2.
Believe highest paid player in Philadelphia still right now.
Oof. Jimmy Butler, franchise-type guy, all-star. Anthony Davis. Yeah, You're
starting to get to the obvious ones.
Chris Middleton, multiple all-star champion. Rudy Gobert, multiple all-star. Klay Thompson, he's at 40. Wow. Now we're in the top 10. Damian Lillard at 42-4. Giannis at 42-4. These guys all make the same. Damian Lillard, Giannis, Kawhi, and Paul George. Then we get to 6 by himself. Kevin Durant at 44-2 or 44-4. 42-4. One more try. 44-1.
Jeez, Jason Ross.
Sorry, Katie. LeBron James in 5th by himself at 44-7. Russell Westbrook in 4th.
MVP when he signed the deal. So
47-0. James Harden and John Wall make the same at number 2 at 47-3-6-6.
Wall an all-star when he signed the deal.
And then number 1 by himself, Stephen Aloysius Curry.
Who has also been an all-star, I believe.
Should we fact check?
Yeah, I'll Wikipedia that in the break.
Okay. $48 million. He'll make 51, 55, and then 59. Woo!
But you know, that rent in San Francisco is a lot, so he needs that kind of deal.
Rent is too damn high. But also, I look at that and go, yeah, makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Wall sticks out. Who do we mention? Tobias Harris.
But we should be fair to both Wall and Westbrook again. When they signed those deals, nobody saw that coming and were like, oh, those deals suck.
Well, and Westbrook hit that criteria. Like, Jokic is going to jump to this. Like, he's been an MVP. There's certain benchmarks that you can hit and you just automatically go up. So you got to avoid the... And
you got to avoid the Tobias Harris deal.
Tobias Harris. And then there's other guys. Like, again, Chris Middleton's really good.
Yeah, he's a multi-time All-Star NBA champion.
And that's like where you're stuck, where you're like, okay, we're paying Giannis.
Plays
Middleton.
a position of need.
Yeah, but look at the theme. Like, okay, I mentioned Klay and Steph in that top 20. Giannis and Middleton and Holiday in the top 30. You got to pay to be great.
Again, and we're not here, spoiler alert, throwing this out there at 8:37 on June 29th, 2022. Brunson, Randall, and Barrett will not be Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis.
No. And again, Middleton, like, I think about the Warriors' success, too, and it feels like this step has changed. And this, going back to what you said Dallas could have done, is signed Brunson to, whatever, 4 and 55. Let's say it's 3 or 4, whatever. Like, but it's 11, 12, 15, somewhere in there you go.
It's a good deal.
A huge increase, but that also can maybe keep Dallas. And if he keeps going, then maybe he then jumps. I think about Curry, got early on where people are like, wow, he got like a 4 and 55, like 11 per or whatever, 5. Like, man, $11 million for Curry, that with these ankles like that's Well, he never jumped. Like Fox just jumped to like he's a really good player, but there was not that like 18, 20, 25 or 22 range.
Curry was considered a risk to give a 4-year extension because of those ankles, and here you are.
Yeah.
My question to you is this. Does this, assuming Brunson signs this deal, does this help the Knicks more than it hurts the Mavs? Because I don't think it does. I think this hurts Dallas more than it helps the Knicks.
Yeah, what's the replacement?
Exactly.
I mean, they do have Dinwiddie, but
you were super excited that you got Christian Wood, right? And the idea that, okay, we have Luka, then we'll have Jalen back, and we'll have Christian Wood. We're talking also about Jalen Brunson. He, by the end of the year, was Dallas' second best player.
Yeah.
That's a big loss. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, this seems like something that it's not going to really help the Knicks, and it's going to super hurt Dallas. The only person that is like truly winning here, Jalen Brunson and his agent.
Right. Yeah, he's going to get paid, and I never fault guys for that. It's just you.
No, get the bag, dude.
Right. You just question, there's guys that are going to get a big contract that probably are overpaid. Like, that just happens. It's just like a little too much. Yeah. Conley, when he was making like 33, you're like, he's good. He's a good player.
But remember when he signed that deal, and now granted the salary cap had changed.
Right.
He was the highest paid player in the league for a while.
Yeah. And
hadn't been an all-star yet.
If you look at like the Kings now, the way they're constructed, as many flaws as they have, I feel like their salaries are placed appropriately. Now, Fox, I think, is too high.
Yeah.
But you basically had to do that to keep him. You didn't want to lose. It was going to hurt too much to lose him. I think he's too high. Sabonis, you're going to argue, is too low. Barnes feels right. Like, everything's kind of properly set. Like, there's not a contract where you go, man, that guy's coming off the bench and he's making $26 million.
Right.
They don't have that, but they also don't have the perfect roster by any means. All right. Still more rumors. All that stuff's still going to happen. We'll keep our eye on that. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. We got what's hot, what's not, plus the news to wrap up the show.
What's hot
Yeah, hot. Real hot.
and what's not.
It's not good.
Brought to you by American Energy Air and Solar, Sacramento's complete heating and cooling company and second opinion partner.
What's hot?
What is hot, Jay?
June 29th, 1990. Because on this date, 32 years ago, Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Stewart each threw no-hitters. The first time since 1898 that there were multiple no-hitters on the same day. It has not happened since.
I remember that day very well.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny, the Valenzuela game was on MLB Network not that long ago.
Really?
Yeah,
They
I
replayed
watched
that
it.
one? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm super cool and watch 30-something-year-old baseball games.
Why not?
Who's not hot? Clayton Kershaw.
Oh.
He's allowed 6+ earned runs for the first time since June 19th, 2017. That snaps a streak of 106 consecutive starts, allowing 5 earned runs or less. Clayton Kershaw probably not getting to the Hall of Fame now.
Washed?
Oh, washed. Washed. Call him Bert and Ernie because they bathe together and they wash each other. I was reaching there. Sorry.
That was a reach. That was a reach and a half. They should have. I still wish Dave Roberts would have left him in Minnesota earlier this year. Go get that no-hitter. He has one.
Don't get me started. It wasn't a no-hitter. It was a perfect.
Was it a perfect game?
Yes.
Even better.
That's why it was such a what are you doing, bro?
Oh, well, we committed to a certain innings pitched at the beginning of the year when we talked to Clayton, and Dave Roberts doesn't talk like this.
I was going to say, is that your Dave Roberts? Because it's awful.
I'm just...
The thought process of
you
Dave
put
Roberts.
me in a dark place.
All right, well, let's get you in a better place here with the news.
Stand by on this frequency. It's time for the news of the day.
Thank you for ruining the show and dropping a steamer on my journalistic integrity.
Today's important headlines, intelligent analysis, hard-hitting interviews.
Yeah, this is none of those things.
Here's Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross.
Oh my God, I love those guys.
Yeah, love. Thank you. By the way, hang on right at the end of the news. 1-800-920-1140, your chance to win tickets to the Republic FC. Yes, those Sacramento Republic FC.
They won again last night.
They're never losing again.
The Republic been around for 10 years now?
Has it been 10?
I want to say 2012 was the first year.
Wow.
Have they won more combined games in those 10 years than the Kings in 37?
No, but...
Is it close?
We might have to do the math.
More championship and playoff appearances, probably.
Anyway, versus Oakland Roots FC. We'll have 3 pair of those, I should say, coming up. So we'll do that at the end of the show. 1-800-920-1140 if you want to get lined up now on hold, and we will get you at the conclusion of the show. But let's start with some news, some of the things that we like to talk about here. Let's start with on this day, or not on this day. What day is today? It's June 28th, or it's June 29th, excuse me. National what day, right? We always like to look at these, and there's always something just bizarre every one of these days. So on June 29th, we have National Almond Butter Crunch Day. Okay. National
Almond
Waffle
Butter
Iron Day. When was the last time you had waffles?
I'm
more pancakes than waffles, though I like waffles better.
I'm a pancake guy, but we have the little mini waffle maker, so we make them every once in a while. But I haven't made them in a while though. I just bought a new thing of pancake mix, so
I like to make
share
blueberry
that with your
banana
family.
pancakes.
Blueberry banana, oddly specific, but sounds delicious.
Well, yeah, put a little bananas in there, and then the blueberries are just a little more flavor, a little more zip.
So how do you do it? Do you put the whole blueberries in, or do you crush them and then mix it into the batter?
No, mash the bananas in,
Okay.
but then the whole blueberry. I mean, they're small, right?
Okay. No, I'm just saying. I mean,
If
you're
I'm
not
creative and
wrong.
make a smiley face, or just
Wow.
Just whatever I'm
Dude,
feeling.
Isaiah's always asking me to make these outlandish things. He's like, Dad, you've seen Toy Story, obviously. Can you make Zurg?
Right.
Son, I can't even make a Z with the pancake batter. You want me to make a whole character?
Zurg is a good pull. Good for Isaiah.
Dude, Isaiah's obsessed with Zurg.
Really?
At his
Of all the characters, that's the one that he's taken from Toy Story?
At his kindergarten promotion, I kid you not. Every other kid, so they all stand up and say what they want to be. Dentist,
right?
Doctors. My
You wanted
kid,
to be Zurg?
Zurg. Just mine.
Proud moment.
Yeah.
Proud.
Proud.
National Hug Holiday Day?
Huh?
I don't know. National Camera Day? Yeah.
That's every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
Enough
have
of
you
those.
seen a millennial with a phone? Get out of here.
On this date, you gave us one earlier. How about on this date in 1994?
Is this sports specific?
It's a Sacramento Kings specific.
On this date in 1994 is when they switched from the blue, red, and white to the purple.
I'm going to now give you one more hint. I think you're going to go 3 for 3 on it. It was draft night.
Oh, so this would have been, so it's 94. That would have been Brian Grant and Michael the Animal Smith.
There's one more.
In 94?
And he became a guy. We've always remember those two.
In 94.
I better fact check now that I'm feeling like I'm wrong.
I'm not sure 94 is the correct draft. I think you're thinking of 95, sir.
Let me double check. To the internet we go. I was pretty sure of this. There's Brian Grant, selected 8th. In the second round, selected 35th, Michael the Animal Smith. And selected 51st, the number he wore.
Oh, that's right, Lawrence
El
Funderburg.
Boogie.
Yeah, that's right. Because
That's a really good draft.
He took a while to come over.
Lawrence Funderburg.
Was that Jeff Petrie's best overall draft?
I mean, 3 contributors. And 2 of them in the second round. That's pretty good.
Because I'm racking my brain. So then
Michael Animal Smith didn't have a long career, but he was pretty. He was that guy. Like that's always the kind of guy you want on your team.
Because, help me here, 95 is Corliss and Tyus and Dijon Boroga.
All right.
Who was legendary.
We were always
here.
waiting for him. Like, wait till he comes over.
96 then would have been pre-drag.
Yeah.
I can't remember who they took in the second round that year. Nobody notable. And then
that's one of them.
That's a good draft.
Also on this date, 2021, Sacramento Kings selected Davion Mitchell 1 year ago today, and Nami Esqueda.
Best draft ever for Monty, yes or no? Davion's still here.
Yeah. Tyrese got us.
But again, overall, he also took Jemias Ramsey and Robert Woodard in that draft.
True. That's
that
true.
brings it down a little bit. If Nimi Keita turns into anything and Davion just kind of has that upward trajectory we're thinking, good draft.
Yeah. J. Mars, what would you do in this situation? You are driving down the highway and a truck hauling beehives overturns in front of you, which happened yesterday in Utah on a Utah highway. And then they try to capture thousands of bees that were swarming the roadway. That's windows up and drive through.
Yeah.
It's not Tommy Boy. Bees!
No.
You're defenseless.
Dude, that's terrifying.
That's pretty awful. And for the most part, I think the bees won't do anything to you. But there's so many, a few will get you.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just naturally going to happen. If there's thousands of them, you're going to bother a couple.
Some are angry. Some are ticked off. I was chilling in my hive here in the truck.
Dude, I would care. I'll say this. I think if you put the over and under at 5 angry bees, over.
Yeah, I'd take the over, too. How many bee stings in your life?
0.
0? You've never been stung by a bee?
Never been stung by a bee.
I think I'm not. Like,
please, let's not jinx that.
Yeah. I think I'm at 3, but 3's enough.
How bad did it hurt?
One was one of those massive, like, I don't even know, I say carpenter, I don't even know what they are. It was humongous. I was in my car, sunroof was, and it flew through the sunroof. I was sitting there, and I saw it land on my leg. And I'm like, ah! And I think I had like a piece of paper, and I tried to swipe it off. And as I did it, the stinger was in me. Ow. And I could just, And then, but it was one of those things, it was after the fact. My knee swelled up. It hurt. It hurt. It was painful. All right, J. Mars, I like to do this specifically, this test for you because you're so good at it.
Okay.
Celebrity birthdays.
All right, let's do it.
We've got a wide spectrum here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see how you do. 6 people. Celebrity birthdays. How old, and happy birthday today to Nicole Scherzinger?
Yes.
Scherzinger? Yeah.
Nicole Scherzinger, 39.
She thanks you. She's turning 44.
Oh, wow.
How old is NBA super personality, funny man, Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi Leonard is 32.
Kawhi is 31 today.
Damn it.
Very close. How about truly a funny man, head writer, and newsman on Saturday Night Live, Colin Jost?
Colin Jost is 36.
He is turning 39 today. 39. You guys can play along as well.
I'm not doing well today.
How about Charlemagne the God? What do you know about Charlemagne the God?
Charlemagne is 43.
You are correct. Spot on Charlemagne the God. Gary Busey. Gary Busey, who's lived a little and lived a lot. What do you got for Gary Busey? What is he turning today?
That's such a difficult one.
If you said 200, the answer's correct.
Right.
But what's your other guess?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. I'm going to say 70 flat.
70 flat. Okay. He thanks you for that. He is 77 today.
Gary Busey is 77?
Yeah.
Really?
Buse, man. 77.
Wow. I was thinking he still might have been in his 60s. I thought I was shooting old with 70. He's 77?
When we were doing the movie watching thing, when was he the Cubs manager?
No,
Rookie of the
he
year?
was in Rookie of the Year. He is the starting pitcher, Chet. What's it? I forget his. No, Stedman is the last name.
Chet Stedman?
Chet the Rocket Stedman.
There's another Chet. We were looking for famous Chets. Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. is
today?
22.
23.
Damn it.
Well done. You get Charlemagne the God right on. Spot on for that one.
Thank you. Well,
Happy birthday,
it's a radio
Walden.
personality. You know, I'm a weirdo.
Yeah. But you got it. Good for you.
Thank you, Jason.
So, tomorrow's going to be an interesting day because
Why?
it is free agency day. I mean, it'll be after our show, but it's the eve, and it's the funniest time, too, because much like the draft where Woj and Shams were reporting things that were all basically true, we'll get, the Rockets are intrigued by or signing, and then when like the official day becomes and they announce everything, go, oh, we heard this 6 days
When
ago.
they announced their extension a minute afterwards, like, wow.
No tampering there at all.
No?
Yes, I think it starts at 3 or is it noon, whatever it is
3
tomorrow.
p.m. our time.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, the Heat have signed blah, blah, blah. Wow, at 3:01. Okay, interesting. No tampering there at all. All right, we told you. Get on hold now. 1-800-920-1140.
First 3 callers.
1-800-920-1140. First 3 callers, because we got an A's game to get to. You guys will be winners of the Sac Republic FC versus Oakland Roots tickets. All you have to do is call 1-800-920-1140. Carmichael Dave is back tomorrow. Sam Amick will join us tomorrow. Give us some of that NBA free agency scoop. My thanks to Jay Mars. I'm Jason Ross. Thank you to all of you who took the time to listen to us today. If you follow us on Sacktown Sports 1140.
And even more of you that viewed us today.
Yeah.
Chat was active today.
It was very active. And we thank all of you that take your time to listen to us, follow us in any which way you do. We appreciate that. Cattles and Rami will be on today following A's baseball. A's and Yankees are coming up next. Sorry, but go Bombers. That's coming your way right here on Sacktown Sports 1140. See ya!
Welcome to Allstate, where saving